morning, Steeler Nation, and welcome to the Steel City pregame show. I am solo today. John is he's hopefully going to be on here, but he was covering the Riverhounds USL Championship, so he's flying back from Tulsa. Big show today. We've got Jerry DePaula joining us here soon. We're also going to have Todd Haley at 10:30. Anthony Halkeas joins us at 10:45. Mike Osti at 11 a.m. with the mic drop. And we're going to have Zig Fricassi on 11:25. Consig's Picks at 10:40. Paul Zeiss at 12. And that's probably going to wrap it up a little after 12:25 as to be exact. So we've got Steelers Bears today. I guess the big news is Aaron Rodgers going to start? And that's a big big thing, big question mark. Obviously, if you ask me, I think the dynamic of the offense changes dramatically if he does start. But had that wrist injury, so it's going to be a game time decision. So we may see Rudolph today. I don't know. We may see Rodgers, but I kind of have if you ask me, I kind of have a feeling that Rodgers will start. But we'll see. We're going to bring in Jerry DePaula. And we'll hash this out. Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Good morning, Bill. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
It's already been a great weekend. Let's keep it up.
I know.
Our show will be the highlight of the day for me.
Yeah, I know. I said, great weekend so far for Pittsburgh sports. Hopefully it continues. So, as I opened up, Jerry, the big news today is Rodgers going to start. Status is up in the air due to that fractured wrist, which could mean Rudolph is going to be the guy. What's your take? You think he's going to start? I kind of feel like he's going to start, Jerry.
I think it's leaning that way. But I tell you what, if I was Mike Tomlin, I'd have a lot of butterflies in my stomach putting the guy out there with a broken bone in his left wrist. I realize he throws with his right hand and right arm, but you got to take snaps. Even shotgun snaps. If the wrist is compromised and he's not, feeling it right, and what about a fumble in a close game, in an outdoor game in Chicago? Weather's going to be decent, I guess, but I just think that if he fumbles once and they lose a fumble, especially in a key situation, Mike Tomlin's going to be subject to a lot of criticism. Not that he isn't already; he gets that every week. But if that was me, and I'm not the coach, and I wasn't there all week to see the guy practice, but I think Rudolph should start, and because I think he can handle things. He handled things pretty well against Cincinnati. He's did okay as a backup 2 years ago. Again, he's not much playing time so far this year, so you could be rusty. But I think this is a big game for the Steelers, and they can't afford to lose it because Aaron Rodgers can't take a snap correctly.
Yeah, and that was my biggest thing. I said, we all know at the beginning of the week, they said, hey, we should know by Friday whether he's going to start or not. Friday came, and it was still up in the air, and, Tomlin said, hey, it's going to be a game-time decision. I'm with you. Like, the biggest concern I have is obviously under snap. That's number one. Number two, if he gets sacked, he injured that wrist bracing himself with, because of a fall.
Right.
He's not going to be able to do that, So I'm with you. I don't think that it's a good idea having him out there. However, given the record that he has against the Bears, and he's going to push for this.
He wants to play. Definitely wants to play. Give him a lot of credit for that. Yeah. The guy's a gamer. He's a tough man. He's a tough guy.
Right. He is. He is a tough guy. He's 24-5 as a starter against Chicago Bears, winning percentage of .828, and also to expand that record, 25-5 when playoff games are counted.
Right.
So he has an 8 straight winning streak against the Bears from 2019 to 2022. So he had an 8 straight games beating the Bears, and he's pushing to start.
That streak was before when he was still a really good quarterback. Right now,
right?
I think it's fair to call him a mediocre quarterback, at least the way he's played in the previous 6 quarters. I think he's had a good season, not a great season, a good season, and better than people expected actually. But when he beat the Bears all those times, 25 out of 30 times, he was an MVP level quarterback. Right now, he's not.
Right.
A great team around him either, and that
Right.
has been spread. If they miss their block, here comes a pass rush, and here goes Rodgers down protecting his wrist and maybe aggravating the injury.
Right. And then, hey, the last thing you want to have is lose him for the season, right? I mean, I think, most people that follow the team and cover the team would say, hey, listen, he's the better option over Rudolph. I mean, Rudolph, I have faith in him. I think he's a decent backup. But let's face it, I feel more comfortable with a healthy Aaron Rodgers in there as opposed to having to go the rest of the season with Mason Rudolph. Not to say that he can't do it. I mean, 2023, he proved a lot of people, wrong with what he was able to do.
Yeah.
Didn't end too well in that playoff game against the Bills, but hey, he was able to get them there, right? So,
well, I think the way Rodgers is thinking, he's thinking his career is almost over. These could be the last 7 games of his career. He doesn't want to miss out on any of them. And then Tomlin is thinking, hey, we got a 1-game lead over the Ravens right now. The chances of us making the playoffs are best if we win the division. So every game matters. I mean, in 4 of the next 7 games, including today, are on the road, including one in Baltimore, one in Detroit. They got to play Baltimore twice, actually. The Bills next week, that's at home.
right.
And I know the Bills, haven't looked great lately, but they still have Josh Allen. And I think that's going to be a very difficult game. And the Steelers probably have to win. I don't know, we got 7 wins now, right? It's 7. So they
6 wins, 6 and 4.
Yeah, okay. So I'm sorry, 6.
Yeah.
So they get to 10. They got to win 4 of those 7 against the stiff competition, including today. And then they got into the first place battle today. The NFC North first place team against AFC North first place team on the road. That's why Rodgers wants to play, because he's a gamer. He loves a challenge. He's a tough guy, and his career's almost over. But it's a risk. It's risky, I think, very risky to play.
I do,
but we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, can I understand Aaron Rodgers' point, his point of view of wanting to play this game? Yeah, I mean, he's owned the Bears. This may be his last time facing the Bears. But at 25-5, yeah, I mean, he thinks that, hey, even if I'm not 100%, I can still beat this team. I've done it before. I'm sure there was times where, during that streak where he wasn't 100% and he was still able to beat them.
Right.
But he is 41 years old. That's going to be 42 next month. So you might as well call him 42. We got a comment here. We got Ethan chiming in. Good morning. I'm on my way to the game in Chicago right now. Nice.
Ethan, give us some information. If you're going to be in Chicago, you're closer to it than we are.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, and then we got a Steeler Nation giving us the gold, red, and blue hearts. Awesome. So, all right. So, Jerry, when you look at the Bears, what do you see? I mean, what's your strengths that you see on the Bears? What's your weaknesses? I mean, I think both teams are excellent at forcing turnovers. The Bears, I think, have been a little bit more dominant when it comes to that aspect. They're 6-0 when they force multiple turnovers, Jerry.
Most teams, win games when they get a lot of turnovers, and that's what the Steelers have to avoid today. When you ask me what I think about the Bears, the first thing that comes to mind is their running game. They have the number 3 ranked running game statistically in the National Football League, and DeAndre Swift is having a very good season for them. He's a guy a lot of people maybe don't know about. He's maybe an underrated running back, but he's a very solid running back, probably better than maybe just as good, even better than Jaylen Warren, and better than the Steelers have had over the years. So, I think today the Steelers have to stop the run, and the best way to do that is the guys who they've been counting on, who they've been paying lots of money and investing draft picks in, have to step up today. Guys like T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt, 6 sacks in 10 games, Bill.
Yeah.
15 guys in the National Football League have more than T.J. Watt 6 sacks, including the great Myles Garrett, who's far surpassed Watt is the best pass rusher in the National Football League. Cam Hayward has to play, but he's played pretty good all season. But Hayward
Yeah.
had to step up. Derek Harmon, the first round draft pick, he was injured early in the season. He's been okay lately, but I think he has to step up and play a big game and stop that run. And Patrick Queen, I think, has been pretty good most of the season. But again, those three guys, including Cotton Watt, really have to step up on defense today and keep the Bears under wraps, because I don't think the Steelers, whether it's Rodgers or Rudolph at quarterback, are going to score a lot of points today. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll put up 30, but they haven't lately, and they've been struggling a little bit lately. And I think that for once the defense has to step up, and they've been playing better lately, but not great, not elite, not like Mike Tomlin promised in training camp.
Right.
6 wins at this point in the season is just mediocre. It's not. It's maybe on the fringe of the playoffs, but it's not anything to get excited about. But you Steeler fans can get excited, though, if they win the next 2 games. They beat the Bears today and come home and beat Buffalo, a team that's struggling, then go to Baltimore the week after that, not needing to win. They keep stay in first place, because Baltimore has a weak schedule down the stretch. And I'll bet if you take the last 7 games of the season, I'll bet anything I got that Baltimore's going to have a better 7-game record than the Steelers are going to have at the end of the season.
Well, hey, to start the season, they came, they were very slow, but the Desert still picked them to win the division, right? They knew something that they knew something we didn't, obviously.
Those casinos they build in Las Vegas, they don't come up by accident,
Right, exactly.
These guys are making some money out there and know what they're doing. But again, I'm not a bettor, and I wouldn't put any money on the Steelers winning the division. But if I had to make a pick to who's going to win this division and come out the champion at the end, I'd pick Baltimore right now.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, I think that's, that they're the sure bet on that one. Okay, Jerry, when you look at the Bears, I mean, Ben Johnson, I think, has done a very good job as head coach. They're surging under him. They had Eberflus last couple seasons. I don't know. There was a lot of criticism with Eberflus. He was a defensive-minded coach. Just the offense, I think, was a little bit, wishy-washy, if you will. Eberflus now, he gets fired, goes down and is coaching Dallas, their defensive coordinator. Not doing too bad of a job down there. I mean, but I don't know. What do you think about Ben Johnson? Do you like what he's done?
Yeah, I mean, Ben Johnson was the OC in Detroit last year, and Detroit, of course, had a great season, moving the football last season, and I think he's done a good job with the Bears with a young quarterback like Caleb Williams, who's playing fairly well. They're in first place right now, and it's funny, all those reports that we had in the offseason about the Bears calling up Art Rooney and saying we want to trade for Mike Tomlin. If that's true. And again, I take these things, with a grain of salt, unless somebody comes out and tells me, yes, sir, that's really exactly what happened. I'm not sure that is exactly what happened, but let's say it did happen, and the Steelers made that trade, and got a first-round draft pick, and Tomlin's coaching the Bears right now. Would they be any better off than with Ben Johnson? Maybe not. I think Ben Johnson is good for a young quarterback like Caleb Williams, and who gets his early in his career. He gets his feet on the ground, gets a coach who's going to show him the way and show him how to be a good quarterback. He turned Jared Goff, I think, into a really good quarterback. A guy who looked like in Arizona was going to be, or in the Rams was just going to be a mediocre guy, and he's turned into one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, in my opinion. And I think Ben Johnson takes a lot of credit for that. And so the Steelers defense is up against it today because the Bears have some weapons. They have a quarterback who can move around and run. Mike Tomlin always talked about how I like a quarterback who's mobile. Caleb Williams is that quarterback, and I think that the Steelers better. I don't know if they're going to spy him or not, but they better keep an eye on him, keep him in the pocket, because he gets out of that pocket, he's gonna run for first downs, and especially in those third down money downs.
Yeah. Oh, you've got to contain him for sure. And you talked about the weapons. Obviously, you already alluded to. Swift. He has 634 rushing yards so far this season. Last game, his longest his most yardage in a game this year has been 134, and has had 4 TDs. When you look at it too, Jerry, you've got DJ Moore, you got Roma Dunze, you've got Cole Kmet. I mean, he just has a plethora of weapons
And the rookie
capable.
tight end Loveland too.
Yeah, yeah,
A guy I tried to draft in fantasy football wasn't able to. I think he's a good tight end, and the Steelers historically and even at current time sometimes have a hard time against a tight end. So you watch
yeah.
out for that today.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, historically, the Steelers have struggled covering tight ends. That's for sure. Bears have won 3 games, 3 straight games. They're surging. They're at home. I mean, this is I don't know. This could be a very tough game. I think the one saving grace that the Steelers have, when you look at weaknesses of the Bears, they're dealing with injuries at linebacker. Um, you know, they don't have a great pass rush. But they've had some success blitzing, but their pass rush has been a little weak. When you look at the Steelers and what they can do against this Chicago team, what's something that you
Well, I think they can run the ball today. Like you said, their linebackers are beat up. I don't think their defense is elite by any means. I think it's a team that if Rodgers was healthy, could really have fun against and throw the ball around a little bit. Jalen Warren that's the other thing. I guess he's fairly healthy. He was hurt in the last game, but I think it's a game that Warren could step up and have a big game today. And Gainwell played well last week. So I think there might be a game in Chicago. I don't know what the wind's going to be like there. It might be a game where you run the ball and you try to establish a grind game, so you don't have to throw it, especially if your quarterback is either injured or not in the game. Your starting quarterback. So I think that the Steelers are going to have to run today. Run. Establish the run, and there's no pass rush there. So if you have a good running game, that makes the pass rush even weaker. And then when you do drop back the pass, you have a better chance of completing it. Maybe getting a big chunks down the field once in a while. You don't have to do it all the time. But, I think that the Steelers, the passing game has struggled lately because they can't find a second receiver. I think Roman Wilson, I guess, has stepped up into that role right now. And this last 7 games are his chance to show people that he is deserved to be a third-round draft pick last year. Right now, we're not sure about Roman Wilson. And you look at next year's draft, the Steelers better draft somebody really high unless a guy like Wilson steps up and becomes that guy that the quarterback can count on.
Do you almost want to see John O. Smith in that more like in a? Yeah, I mean, hey, let's face it. Some of these tight ends, you don't have the straight line tight ends like you have or like you used to have. A lot of these tight ends are they're every bit as athletic as a wideout, and
Right.
a lot of them are more than capable of being a number 2 receiver. Would you like to see? I don't know, John O. Smith step into like that number 2 role more?
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that John O. Smith has been, pretty much missing in action this season.
Right.
What do they have? 88 catches in Miami last year.
Yeah.
With a quarterback like Tua, who's just an average guy, I'm surprised that Aaron Rodgers hasn't found a connection with him this season. I think you're underusing Freiermuth too. I think Freiermuth is very athletic and can make plays in the passing game. Now, as far as being a number 2 receiver, that's not ideal. But I guess you're stuck in that situation because nobody has really stepped up and become your number 2 wide receiver. The big guy Washington is someone I think that they're probably going to look to more and more every week. I thought last week would be Smith's chance to shine. But
right.
But it hasn't been that way. But let's see what happens today. And I don't know if it's going to happen in Chicago, especially if it's a windy day. I think today is going to be the kind of game where you take your shots downfield every once in a while, but you see if you can establish something on the ground, and then maybe your tight ends can come in underneath the defense and do something and run after the catch. And who's better at running after the catch than Darnell Washington, right?
Oh, my God, yes.
He knocks people over. And he makes the defensive backs not want to play football anymore. So I think what you got to have is a variety on offense, but don't go crazy if it's a windy day.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just Washington has just been. Well, here's the thing with Washington. The guy can block, the guy can catch. Freiermuth, he's not that good of a blocking tight end. He's had some
Right.
issues with that. He is pretty reliable in the passing game. We haven't seen enough of John O. Smith, though, in my opinion, to really. I mean, like you said, we know what he did in Miami, but I would like to see more of him. I just would like to see more of him, and especially if you're going to go these three tight end sets. I mean, you're going to have to. You're going to have to like spread the ball around some, and it's just been. We know why they're going with these three tight end sets because they're worried about protection, and
Well,
but
Bill, I
that's
think the problem is that Metcalf is not drawing double coverage. I think when they
right,
signed Metcalf and gave him all that money, they figured that he would draw a lot of attention in the secondary, opening things up for the tight end, for Wilson, or some other receiver to the backs maybe, and that hasn't happened consistently.
yep,
And I think that Metcalf's had some drops. He's played pretty well, for the year. But like the whole entire Steelers team, they played pretty well. Just
right,
not on elite, not the kind of team that you think can go into the playoffs and win a game.
right.
I think they can make the playoffs. All they got to do, I think, is win 4 out of 7. I think they can do that. But that's a 4-3 record. That's a mediocre record. That's 10-7. That's a mediocre record. The AFC's up for grabs, and there aren't a lot of great teams in the AFC this season. Kansas City's down. Buffalo's down. Baltimore's in second place. This is the kind of season that the Steelers should be taking advantage of. And if they can't win the next 2 games, I think they're going to be in deep trouble as we go into December.
Yeah, and how about Let's just talk about that real quick. How about Kansas City? I mean, here's a team that's 5-5. I mean, I tell you what, like if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would be a little bit gun shy with Kansas City. Now, I'll tell you what, this game today against the Colts, this is everything. This is their season right here on the
Well,
line.
you're right. They're 5-5, right?
Yeah,
6 losses, and with 6 games to go, they probably won't make the playoffs.
right. I mean, this is it. For them, in my opinion. And I think you know what. I don't know. When you look at Mahomes going against Danny Dimes, I don't know.
Well, you would think that Mahomes has the edge there, right?
I would think so.
But Mahomes has the same kind of problem that the Steelers have. There aren't a lot of people around him to support him. The great players.
Right.
Xavier Worthy has got it. It's playing a little bit better. And Kelsey's shown his age a little bit, although he can still be reliable. But I tell you what, I'm like I said, I don't bet either, and I don't put any of my money on these games. But I think that today against the Colts at home, and the Colts I think are an overrated team. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I don't know what the point spread is. You probably have a better idea than I do. I haven't had a chance to look yet, but I would take the Chiefs and give the points if it's not too many points.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, we got a couple comments here. We got Darwin Blinks. I'll be at the game too. Here we go. And then we got Steeler Nation chiming in again. I really hope we get to see another angry run or two. That was awesome.
I don't know if he's angry. I just think he wants to. He's a hard playing guy. He plays hard. He plays the game like it's meant to be played. I give him a lot of credit for that. As big as he is, what did he say? I think he said this week he's 316.
Yeah.
And what did Steelers list him at? 265 or something? Is that right?
Yeah. They list him at 265.
They need to adjust that.
Yeah. Well, they always used to list Bettis at what, like 240?
Yeah, he was not 240.
Right. He was like 280, 290. I mean, we know that. So, but yeah. So, all right, Jerry. So, what do you think? Highsmith's out. Herbig's in. Highsmith against the run. He was just kind of does pretty well against the run. I mean, Herbig, more kind of a coverage, linebacker. What do you think about that today? You think that's going to be any issues? Or?
Yeah, Herbig has played well in Highsmith's absent, and like I said, today has to be the day. They got to put pressure on Caleb Williams. He's a young guy, maybe can rat him a little bit. I mean, he runs around pretty well though, and you got to go. The Steelers are built and have been successful in the past because of their pass rush, and if they you can't get to the quarterback and rattle him up a little bit, it's going to be a tough game to win because they can run the ball. If you can't put any pressure on the quarterback's going to have fun, picking apart that secondary, which to me is a very mediocre secondary. The Steelers are mediocre across the board as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
So I think that beating the Bears today is going to depend on rattling Williams. If you can't rattle Williams, you're not going to win.
Right. Yep. And I tell you what, yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, you got to contain him. You got to contain him because he can. He's a dual threat quarterback for sure.
By the way, Bill, I just checked on the TV here, and Dan Graziano tweeted that Rodgers arrived at Soldier Field today and flipped the bird at the cameras with his right hand, not his left hand. If he did it with his left hand, if he did it with his left hand, we might feel a bit better about him. But he did it with his right hand, so who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. So, all right, Jerry. Before I let you go, final prediction on this game today.
The more I think about it, I think it might be a little higher scoring than I thought. 27-24 Bears.
Okay, sounds good. Well, appreciate it, Jerry.
My pleasure. Always a lot of fun, Bill.
No post-game show today, but we'll have you. Obviously, you'll be back next week, and we'll have John back next week. Like I said, he's coming back from the USL Championship yesterday. So, all right, Jerry, I appreciate you coming on, and yeah, we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, Bill. You have a great Sunday.
All right, thanks, Jerry. You too. All right, so I mean, we who knows what's going to happen here with Rodgers. Game time decision. So we'll see what happens with that. So, all right, folks. So we've said it before. If you're looking for construction work, and there's a lot of construction jobs here around the Pittsburgh area, but if you're looking for work, try Arch Mason and Restoration. They just do an amazing job. I mean, they're great at putting people to work and great at doing great in the construction field here. Arch Masonry and Restoration, 412-564-5733 or archmasonryinc.com. Okay, so now let's switch gears here. We're going to bring in Mr. Todd Haley. Coach, how we doing today?
I'm doing great, Bill. How you? I like your Steeler gear, kind of vintagey.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. So, Coach, I guess get right to it. So the big news is Aaron Rodgers questionable game time decision. We don't know whether he's going to start. Talking with Jerry DePaula, we kind of went back and forth, and I said, hey, if he starts, it definitely changes the dynamic of the offense in this game. Rodgers 25-5 against the Bears. We know he's pushing to start, Coach. What do you think is the right call in this situation?
I mean, it's strictly up to what the doctors feel. Is it something that'll could get significantly worse? I think it depends on Aaron's pain tolerance. Can you execute the game plan? Because I'm sure they don't necessarily want to be in shotgun the entire game. You're going to have to get under center some, obviously. Now, I had Kurt Warner with the Cardinals, dislocated his left elbow, came back pretty quick. And the biggest issue I see for Aaron is whether they're in the pistol or under center is right-sided runs. You don't want to become, one-sided because he'll have to hand off with that left hand unless he's able to do what Kurt did, which is take the ball with his right hand, flip it over, and hand it backwards. So, these guys are really talented. Aaron, obviously, one of the best. I'd want to play too if my record was what it was versus the Bears. Now, that really doesn't mean anything to me because this is a totally new Chicago team. So I think if he can go and he feels good, that's the direction you should go if you're Mike Tomlin. Right. I think I know all my friends are I think Mason Rudolph's the answer. I don't know that, that I can stand up, pound the table on that. And I loved what he did last week. He was prepared. He came in. He executed the plays, helped him get a big win. But I still think Aaron Rodgers gives the Steelers the best chance to win if he's healthy enough to do it.
Yeah, and Me too. I mean, the concerns I have, Coach, obviously under center. It's going to be, it's. I mean, you've got to, even though it's on your left hand or it's your left wrist, you still have a fractured wrist, right? And then the other concern I have, he injured that wrist, bracing for a fall. He got hit and he was bracing, so he's not going to be able to do that as well. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Is there a lot of limitations having a broken left wrist when you're obviously a right-handed quarterback?
You got to protect him. It's not like he's a running quarterback that part of the game plan is going to be design runs and those type of things. I mean, so the big issue is just you human nature subconsciously he'll protect that arm. If he gets sacked, but you want to protect him and do everything you can to keep him out of harm's way. And he's got to protect himself, and he's been doing that for the most part this whole year. The ball's got to come out. It's going to depend on, there's other factors in this game that I think are really critical. Number one, I think, is that run stat at the end of the game. If the Steelers outrush the Bears and they're able to hold Swift and that group, down in that 100-yard area, and this Bears defense not great against the run. Steelers obviously have been trying to get closer to that 100 mark. But if they could go out, whoever it is, a combination of 1, 2, or 3, Warren, Gainwell, or Johnson, if that number looks like 130, 150, and they're able to keep that run game of the Bears to the minimum, that means they're going to be able to really get after Caleb Williams, I think. So, and then always the plus minus is going to be huge because the Bears have taken the ball away at a huge rate. The Steelers cannot throw them the ball. They can't fumble them the ball, and the defense has to take a couple away from them.
All right, Coach, we got a comment here from Ethan King. He says, tell Todd Haley his biggest fan, Ethan, is here.
Ethan, thank you.
So I
need all the fans I can get.
All right, Coach. So the next question I want to pitch to you. So if Rodgers doesn't go today, and we have Rudolph in there, what do you think? I mean, are you comfortable with that? I mean, I know, I think everybody in the NFL pretty much, his perception is he's a high-end backup. He's not a long-term franchise solution, but he's a high-end backup. He's had some successful stretches as a fill-in starter, but his overall performance has been a little inconsistent. I don't know if you share that same sentiment, Coach.
Yeah, I like Mason. And some of those, don't forget, happen in Tennessee. A lot of how a quarterback plays depends on his supporting cast, in all areas. And I like Mason. I mean, he looks really smart. I liked him coming out of Oklahoma State. He's big enough. He's strong enough. He's not going to kill you with his feet, but he can execute. And a backup quarterback in this league is really critical. So, however they decide to start the game, I'm sure you remember we had a Browns game where Ben had, I don't know what he had, a foot or ankle or something, and really didn't prepare all week. Didn't get the majority of the reps. Landry Jones started. Well, he gets hurt in the first series. Ben comes in and lights it up. They could go that direction. Let's see what Mason looks like. And Aaron's the backup, and if something happens or Mason's struggling, they get him in there. So that I think that is a possibility within this game.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, he had a 3-game winning streak, back in 2023. Which led them to a playoff berth. Didn't go so well in Buffalo for him, but he's had some stretches where he's played pretty well for the Steelers. I was a little bit shocked that they re-signed him, to be honest with you. But I know he wanted to come back here. It wasn't good in Tennessee for him. He was on a bad team, and I think there's kind of, when you look at his career, maybe I'm not going to say an asterisk, but he didn't have a very good supporting cast in Tennessee. That's for sure. So
yeah, and it is a process. I mean, these guys every time they're on a practice field, get to play in a game. There's growth, or if there is growth, that means you're getting better. So he's got the ability. I just don't think there's any standout feature, and that's what you're really looking for. So I think he's a quality backup, and I'm glad the Steelers have him.
yeah. All right, Coach. Let's talk a little bit about the Bears. Strengths of the Bears. I know they have pretty aggressive defense. They've created some turnovers, but I really think offensively. I mean, I think Caleb Williams is thus far has really. I think he's proved his case in a lot of ways. I mean, he's a dual threat quarterback. He's got weapons. He's got DJ Moore. You got Rome Odunze. You've got Cole Kmet. You've got Swift, who's running the ball well. What do you like about Chicago and their strengths? What do you like? What do you see as being their weaknesses? Like they've got injuries at linebacker going into this game, so I think that's going to be critical for the Steelers to exploit. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Coach.
Well, I like their coach. I like Ben Johnson. I know he gets a lot of hype, but I just like the way things look, the way he handles himself on the sideline. You see the excitement in the locker room after games when they have success. So I like that part of it. Caleb's a wild card right now. I mean, he really is. I mean, this guy is ultra talented. That's probably the thing that scares me the most in this game for the Steelers is we've seen in the past, mobile quarterbacks that can escape and get out of there. I mean, they're going to have to be that defense. The Steelers defense is probably going to have to play close to their best game because this guy's like Houdini. I mean, he's erratic at times now. He's going to jump around, but it's almost like you can't get a beat on him because he's not doing it the traditional way. It just looks hyper different to me, and then he can take off and run and he can sling it, but he also can make some mistakes. So I think the defense really has to get after this guy. I heard Jerry say that, and I agree 100%. It's got to be this defensive line and linebackers. They got to rattle him early, especially, and then just be really careful. I don't think you can go in there with your eyes closed or head down, and because he's going to make you miss in the pocket, and then all of a sudden he's going to be outside the pocket running down the field. So, they do have weapons. The defense has playmakers, but I think what you said is exactly right. Those missing parts at linebacker may be an advantage, and that brings me right back to, again, if I look after this game and it says Steelers ran the ball for 140 yards and they only gave up 90, and they didn't do anything crazy as far as turning the ball over, I would think that it's a very good chance for the Steelers to get the win.
Yeah. No Highsmith today, Coach. Herbig's, going to be back in there. And Jerry and I talked about this. I don't know whether you heard, but we were talking about T.J. Watt. Last 10 games, 6 sacks. I mean, I've said it before. Yes, he's getting chipped. There's a big difference between being double teamed and chipped, right? He's getting chipped. I don't know. I've said it before. Maybe they need to move T.J. Watt around a little bit more. Do you think that is something that maybe would get his production up a little bit if they moved him around? Or what's your thoughts on that?
I'm glad you brought it up because not fair to judge him on his production. Because as an offensive coordinator, if I had to play the Steelers and T.J. Watt and I know where he is, that makes it a lot easier for us to game plan. Right. It may be a chip. It might be a tight end staying in. It could be a guard sliding out to help the tackle so the tackle can overset. Now, he's overcome that throughout his career, and he's obviously a great player. But I think there's 2 guys I'd like to see a little change in the mindset. TJ's one of them, just what you said, move him around a little bit. And then DK Metcalf. Last week we said, well, they take him away with a double team. And I said, that's BS because
they're not doing it. Yeah.
They do, but because they're sitting him in one spot, they try to double team AB every single game. Right. And what we had to do was figure out ways to put them in different spots that created complications for the defense within the scheme and the double team aspect of it. If you're just sitting there at the X position on the ball, very easy to double team. I mean, you just put a safety over the top. You can drop the corner, drop the safety down inside. I mean, you can do a lot of different things. So I'd like to see TJ and DK get moved around a little bit, because DK is a big dog. I mean, you gotta get the ball going in his direction more, because you can only throw it to the tight end so many times, and there hadn't been anybody that really stepped up, other than him.
Wanted to get your take on something, Coach. So I've said it before, the straight line tight ends that you saw, 25 years ago, that's, you really don't see that too much anymore. A lot of these tight ends are super athletic. I mean, they're almost like wide receivers. The Steelers really don't have a legitimate number two. I don't think. I've said it before. Would you maybe look to maybe throwing the ball more to Jonnu Smith? I mean, he had 88 catches last year playing for Miami. Is that, I guess, is it out of the question to kind of make him almost a number two option? Am I off on that, or?
Oh, I said a couple weeks ago, you better, as many plays as you possibly can, have your best 11 on the field. Obviously, the line, the quarterback, are all set. But then it's, who are the best 11? Who are the best others? DK is one of those guys. But, the third best or second best receiver may be Jonnu Smith. I've been, they early in the season, they got him a couple handoffs, tried to get him touches, but he's kind of just gone missing. Washington, I love. I mean, in a limited role, but
right.
The key with tight ends is if you have one that can do both, block at the line of scrimmage, help in protection, and also be a receiver. Heath Miller, think Heath. Yeah. That's ideal. And then when you start to put those best 11 together, if it's a Jonnu Smith, can he wrap and help on some of the gap scheme runs? And then you release him out and get him the ball going in his direction, because he's athletic. He's got ability. I mean, he was a scoring machine last year in Miami. So
yeah.
I think that's another great point. I mean, it appears to me, do I think Calvin Austin is the 11th best guy? I can't say that with complete confidence. It might be Jonnu Smith. So Freiermuth's going to be out there because he's a two-way guy that can block and receive. So, who's that next guy that is the difference maker? Maybe, it was Kenneth Gainwell last week. I thought that was terrific. Yeah. Everybody was harping to get Jalen the ball, and all of a sudden Kenneth Gainwell said, "Don't forget about me." And, he's probably in the mix in that conversation.
Right. Yep. We got a comment here. We got John Rusino chiming in with the Bears' top three linebackers out. It may be a big tight end day.
If you can run the football, it goes back to what I really believe, other than turnover differential. I think if the Steelers can run the football and you're playing against backup linebackers, absolutely. Now play action becomes a huge player. And who does that help? The tight ends generally. Right.
And we'll just segue into that. Do you think they can run the football, Coach, against the Bears? I mean, like I said, you got some linebackers out today for the Bears. They have a very good turnover margin. I think they lead the league with 22 takeaways, including 15 interceptions. They're an opportunistic defense, right? But I don't know. I didn't see where they're at in rushing.
133 a game they're giving up. So the turnovers cover up some flaws.
Right.
Jacksonville even the Steelers, when they started taking the football away, it covered up some issues that they may have had because of injury or whatever the circumstance. So I think that's why I'm going to keep saying it. Figure out a way it doesn't mean you got to run on first down or do any of that, but you gotta have a really good plan and stay committed. Don't panic if you get down, things like that. You gotta stay disciplined and keep handing it off until you break them.
Right. Yep. All right, Coach. Well, we appreciate you joining us. Like John was covering the USL Championship, as you know. I'm sure the Riverhounds won it. I'm a writer for the Riverhounds as well, but I wrote it from the confines of my couch. I wrote my story, but John was down there covering the match. So he's flying back from Tulsa, and yeah, he has some crazy layover. So I'm the guy today getting the start. So, but
Well, you're next man up. You're doing a great job.
thanks, Coach. But yeah, Coach. So we'll be talking to you next week, and hey, enjoy your Thanksgiving too. By the way.
Yeah, yeah. Happy
So,
Thanksgiving to
yeah.
you and everybody.
So, but Coach Todd Haley, everybody. Thanks a lot,
Go,
Coach.
go Stellars.
And there he is, Mr. John Phillips, joining us.
Just landed in D.C. I hope the IRS and all the other three-letter agencies aren't outside waiting for me.
Oh wow, yeah, I hope so too. So, going good, John here. So we're moving right along. Just had Coach Haley. He just dropped off. So I know, like I was telling everybody, the audience, you recovered in the USL Championship last week. Just an unbelievable match there, and I know you're probably high on life right now.
Well, look, it's always fun to cover a championship run of some kind, and when you're working in the media, right? I've been very blessed to have this assignment from the Tribune Review, and it was good to be here. It was good because there's more to this story, obviously, with Bob Lilly, and I'll have a piece on that probably Tuesday of this week to kind of give some insight into what's been going on the last 6-7 weeks and even prior to that. But let's talk about the Steelers anyhow, because this is Steel City Sunday. I guess we should probably talk about that. I don't think anything has come out yet on who's starting at quarterback. I think they have up until 90 minutes before kickoff, which would be 11:30 Eastern. I haven't seen anything. I just ran over Twitter. I didn't see anything, or X. So here's the thing. I think it'll be Aaron Rodgers, unless this injury is a little bit more than we're led to believe. I think it'll be Aaron. I don't necessarily agree with it, but he wasn't brought in here to sit on the bench. And if he has the ability to at least start this game, Mike Tomlin and is going to give the green light to that, and that's part and parcel with bringing Aaron Rodgers in as a free agent at the end of his career. We'll see. We'll see what happens. They've got to be able to force turnovers. Both these teams are tops in the NFL in forcing turnovers. They're 1 and 2. First, second. I think that this is where the rubber meets the road for what the next 2 weeks are going to hold. Right. Buffalo coming in next week would be great. They had a little 2-game winning streak to play against this team. Buffalo has been horrible on the road this year. They lost again Thursday night to the Texans. So that was, that drops them further, in terms of the conference standings, and head-to-head at home. If you are now 7-4, it definitely, puts you in a better position. You lose this game, and Baltimore wins, and I think they're 13. I don't know. They're big favorites today. They're double-digit favorites, and they do very well against AFC teams in that manner. I mean, they win and you lose. Now you're tied, and you haven't even gotten to the head-to-head yet. So let me get off the plane. I just thought I'd check in here real quick. Give me about 20 minutes, and I'm going to join you for the remainder of the show. All right?
Okay, sounds good, John. Thanks for chiming in, buddy. All right.
Yeah, of course. We'll get back in. We'll be back here soon. Just let me get to my gate and get set up. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. Yeah. So, we still don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. It's still up in the air. Like I said earlier in the show, I think he's going to play. I don't see him sitting this one out. If he can go, I think he's definitely going to play. But I've said it before. I mentioned it to Jerry DePaul. I mentioned it to Coach. I'm a little bit worried. I mean, first of all, I'm worried about him being under center. How that's going to affect that fractured wrist. We all know how he got injured. He got injured bracing himself. and that's basically how he got injured. We got John Rustino chiming in. Evan Washburn says Rudolph starts. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that there was I forget who else said that they predicted Rudolph to start, but I don't know. We'll see, John. I think that if the doctors don't think that Rodgers can injure this any more than what it already is, I think he's going to play. I think he's pushed to play, and we don't know when we don't know if this might be his last hurrah here, and this might be his last opportunity to face a team in the Bears that he has just owned. 24-5 as a starter, 25-5 including the playoffs. So I mean that's big. Mike Tomlin told CBS sideline reporter Evan Washburn that Mason Rudolph start versus Bears team has health medical concerns about. Okay, so there you have it. Folks. Rudolph is going to start. So okay, that changes everything. That definitely changes everything. Listen, I've said it before. I do a Pittsburgh show on Wednesdays. And some people have told me, "Oh, you don't have a lot of faith in Mason Rudolph." That's not the case. I mean, I don't. I've said it before. I perceive him as a high-end backup. To me, he's not your long-term franchise solution. I look at him as a high-end backup. We know what he's done for the Steelers. We know, he had a 3-game winning streak back in 2023 that led them to a playoff berth. Didn't pan out so well in Buffalo for him. But, he's had stretches of his career where he's played very well. He's also had stretches of his career where he's had some poor performances. I go back to 2019. He had a stretch of poor performances back in 2019 when Ben got hurt, when he had the elbow issue. And that led to his benching. And, Duck Hodges came in, for crying out loud, and started. And, he's not even in the league anymore. I'm going to say this, too. Rudolph has faced a lot of competition, too, on the teams where he's went in. He was behind Ben Roethlisberger for years. He competed with Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky. They've consistently brought in other players, and now he's behind Aaron Rodgers for this season. So I think overall they've had a little bit of a lack of confidence in Rudolph as the long-term answer. But as I said before, folks, I think he is a legitimate high-end backup. I do. I think he can come in there and play well. I think he'll do all right today. I don't think that there's, I don't think that you're having much of a fall off in your offense with him starting. Now, would I like to see a healthy Aaron Rodgers? Would I take him over, Mason Rudolph? Yes, I would. But like I said, I don't think that it's not going to be too much of an offensive drop off with Mason Rudolph at the helm. All right, folks. As I said before, we are brought to you by Arch Masonry and Restoration. If you're in the Pittsburgh area and you're looking for work, look no further than Arch Masonry and Restoration. They are hiring skilled laborers, the whole 9 yards. Arch Masonry Restoration, you can give them a call at 412-564-5733, or you can look them up at archmasoryinc.com. Okay, so we're moving right along here. We're going to have, I think we're going to have Anthony Halkeas joining us. I don't see him in the backstage. I know we have Mike Osti coming up as well, so I think more than likely Mike will be joining us fairly soon. let's real quick go around the NFL. I know that there's pretty big games. Pretty I'm not going to say it's playoff implications at this stage, but I mean there's some teams that really need wins uh, this week. And let's start off with the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean 5-5 going against the Colts 8-2. Chiefs have just struggled this year. There's been a lot of people that have been really surprised at how bad the Chiefs have performed. We've got a comment here. My little brother's hot take is that we will see Will Howard at some point in this game. I don't know about that. I mean, come on. Will Howard hasn't even taken an NFL snap yet, for crying out loud. He didn't even play in the preseason. I don't unless something bad happens, with Rudolph. I don't know. I don't know if I'd go that far. But yeah, getting back to it, the Chiefs need this game today. I mean, this is a must-win for them. If you don't win this game, being at 5-5 and hosting the Colts at Arrowhead, I mean, you're I hate to say it, but your season is in it's kind of in disarray. It's kind of in disarray as it is. Listen, I think in that AFC West, I think Denver's going to win that division. I mean, they're playing pretty good football right now at 9-2. LA's right there as well at 7-4, and then you have the Kansas City Chiefs at 5-5. We talked a little bit. We talked a little bit earlier in the show about with Jerry DePaula about Kansas City and they're struggling. I mean they're missing a running game. I think. I think Kelsey is. He's not the player he once was. I mean, obviously he's older. So, but there's a lot going on. John's Cowboys must win. Oh, I agree with that too. I was just going to get to that too. That's a big win or a big game for them as well. Yeah, I mean it's a must win for them as well. Going up against the Eagles, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. That NFC East matchup, that's always going to be that's always a big matchup, Cowboys and Eagles. So all right, yes, we should have Mike Osti here soon, I'm hoping. Don't see him backstage, but hopefully he'll be joining us soon. So I wanted to mention to Coach Todd Haley about TJ Watt and how, a lot of people are down on his production. Like I said, last 10 games, he's had 6 sacks. When you look at what Myles Garrett has done, I mean, he's been definitely more productive than what TJ Watt has been. I've said it before, and I know Coach agreed with me. I think that they need to move TJ Watt around a little bit more. I just don't see, he's just, they need to move him around. He's getting chipped. He's getting double teamed. How do you free a guy up? You move him around. And I just think that they need to do that more. And hopefully they will. I hope that he has a big game. I kind of feel like he's due for a big game, a big production game. I hope it's this game because they definitely need to contain Caleb Williams. All right, we have Mike Osti. Bring him in here. Mike, how we doing today?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. So flying solo here. John's
you're doing a good job from what I've heard.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, John's flying back, was at the USL Championship, the Riverhounds. Big weekend for Pittsburgh sports, huh?
100% for sure. And you could argue the weekend earlier was not that great for Pittsburgh sports, but this is a good one. And maybe the Riverhounds are impressing enough to add more seats to the stadium, and then maybe try for bigger and better things. But doing it big right now for sure. Yeah.
All right, Mike. Let's get right into it. So, obviously, going into this game, there was a little bit of uncertainty who was going to be under center. As I just was informed,
I just saw it.
Yeah, Evan Washburn had just interviewed Mike Tomlin, and Aaron Rodgers is not going to start this game. We're going to have Mason Rudolph in there.
Yep.
So the quarterback uncertainty is no longer. We're going to have Rudolph under center. I'm okay with it. I don't want to take any chances with Aaron Rodgers. I said it before.
Yeah.
My two biggest concerns was being under center. I mean, when you have a wrist injury, going under center. I don't care if you're under center, if you're in shotgun, that can affect you.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, when you look at it, how did he injure himself? He injured himself last week bracing a fall. You don't want him. How's he going to brace his fall this week?
Yeah.
I mean,
100%. I think if this was maybe an AFC game or this was a divisional matchup, the argument to start Aaron Rodgers would greatly increase. And maybe Mike Tomlin would be making a different decision, because the weird part about this is, and of course there's posturing. He didn't want to give things away. I'm sure Tomlin knew this decision days ago. There are even some that are saying that Tomlin knew this decision on Monday before his weekly press conference and just kept it close to the vest, which coaches do. But most people, fans or media, were assuming, and I will admit I was one of them, assuming Aaron Rodgers was going to start this game. The injury was getting downplayed. Doctors were saying it was not going to be that severe. Rodgers seemed fine. He was saying he felt fine. He went out there pregame on the field, Soldier Field, very familiar for him. He claims to own the field, of course, flipping off the fans, smiling, smirking, ready to go. It seemed like he was in full Aaron Rodgers form. If I couldn't get the win over the Packers, I want to end my career at least beating the team I always beat before, stick it to him. And yet he doesn't start this game. So it either leads me to believe the injury is more severe than we're being led on, which is certainly a possibility, or it's what you're saying. They are preserving him because, of course, overall record matters. This is not college football where like Pitt could get in the CFP just purely winning their conference games and losing out of conference games. Losing to West Virginia doesn't really matter for them. Losing Notre Dame didn't matter for them. In the NFL, your overall record is going to matter. If they have a worse overall record despite winning the divisional games, they're going to not win the division. That is just the case. So it's not like you can do the Narduzzi thing and say, well, this game doesn't matter. We're kind of, not that he was punning it, but you can't do that. But they're able to be more precautionary because there are still games left. If they lose this and then win the games against Baltimore at the end of the season, the division is still very much up for grabs, with the Ravens vulnerable still. The Bengals clearly look like they're done even if Burrow comes back, and the Browns are a complete mess. This is not murderer's row to deal with for them. And if they win the division with 10 wins, it's not necessarily anything that they should have a parade over, but they would get in the playoffs and it would be a division title. So that might be the mentality too. And the other end is they don't have just anybody out there. I know Mason Rudolph maybe the most polarizing Pittsburgh Steeler player of the last 10 years. That actually honestly might be seriously the case. But he is one of the better serviceable backups in the league. I don't want him to start 16, 17 games. I don't think he would start that many games and lead you to the promised land. But I think going into the year, they probably thought, okay, we're bringing the guy back. He knows the offense. He knows the coaches. He knows me. These players do trust him. He's won before. We're probably assuming he's gonna start anywhere from 2 to 4 games. That might have been in the back of their mind, especially with a 41-year-old quarterback. So we're still in that window. I mean, if he's starting 5 or 6, you got a problem. But he's still in that window of the 2 to 4. So if you're in the window of the 2 to 4, backup quarterbacks get paid too. So I think it's not unreasonable to expect him to go out there, manage the game, be serviceable. He has a deep ball. Maybe he'll still try to Metcalf. I'm not assuming he's throwing 350 and 4 TDs, but I don't think this game would have been like that even with Rodgers. So that's probably part of the decision. Of course, if they lose and Mason Rudolph doesn't play well, you're going to have fans say, well, Rodgers says he was ready to go, which is what he's been saying. So he should have played the game. And emotionally for Rodgers, he might, I'm sure, be a little scarred because he's not getting the Bears start. But this isn't the end of the world because you do have a serviceable backup in there. You have to wonder what the decision would be if you had a backup that you don't trust, maybe as much as Tomlin trusts Rudolph, but we'll never know.
Right. Well, yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head, and I agree with you. I think everybody in Pittsburgh, well, I wouldn't say everybody in Pittsburgh. I'd say most everybody
It's
in
hard
the
to group all
NFL.
Steeler fans in together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most
Yeah.
NFL teams generally perceive Rudolph as being
Mostly.
a high end backup
Right.
rather than a long term franchise solution. I've
Sure.
said that before.
Yeah.
You know, you got to look at it too. I mean, when he was an unrestricted free agent, no team signed him. You know,
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
amazing he's even back with the Steelers. I, at the time,
Yeah.
thought he had higher value that somebody. I mean, there are teams with really bad starting quarterbacks. I would have thought somebody would have taken a shot, give him an opportunity one more time,
Right.
but it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, no team signed him with the, intention of
starting.
making him the undisputed starter. So,
Right.
he's had some inconsistency in play.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, he's played well at times. I mean, hey, he had that 3-game winning streak and a playoff berth towards the end of the 2023 season. We know how that ended in Buffalo.
Yeah.
But he had some also stretches of his career early on in his career where he wasn't so good. In 2019
Sure.
season, he had a string of poor games, leading to his bench, and you had Duck Hodges, in place there.
Yeah.
I was talking with Coach Haley. I mean, we were talking about the Titans. He was on a bad team. I mean, I'm willing to kind of give him somewhat of a free pass on that. However, though, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, if you're a legitimate starting quarterback in the league, you should be able to elevate the play around the guy. That's just me.
No, that's fair. I would say, though, there's tiers to this even among the starters. So there obviously are elite quarterbacks, Mahomes, even though he's had a little bit of a down year, the Mahomes, the Josh Allens, those quarterbacks, you're paying that money with their resumes. You expect, no matter who's on the roster, they got to elevate. For example, Patrick Mahomes has won championships without a number one receiver. Steeler fans always say you got to have a number one. Maybe you even need a number two to have a deep run. Patrick Mahomes says, "Hold my beer." I don't, and he's proven he does not necessarily need that, because that's a level that he's at where he's arguing he's the greatest of all time already. There's even a lower level, of course, where you're just a starter and you can win and you can have success if there's enough pieces around you. If there's not pieces around you, you're going to have some problems. There's a lower level to that where maybe you're a serviceable starter. You have a ceiling where you're probably maybe a playoff team at best. Maybe you're just an average starter where you can, maybe it's not unreasonable to get a check, but you're not really going to be good enough for the long term and you're kind of a stopback guy. And then there's quarterbacks who probably should actually be backups that are just starting because the team's so bad, or situations or whatever the case may be, or trying young QBs like the Browns are doing right now. I definitely think in the long run, Mason Rudolph's mostly a career backup. You could certainly argue that if you're just ranking quarterbacks on level of play in terms of starters, and now he is one starting this game, that he's not the worst who's going to start a game today. That there are others who are more inexperienced, who are younger, that may have worse days just stat wise. So it's not the full on end of the world, but he's not somebody that if you give him issues around him, a weak offensive line, no number two receiver, now teams are double covering DK Metcalf, inconsistency on the ground, that he can full and elevate. And the Titans were more of a mess than that. So he did win the job going into that year. You have to give him credit that he was the best they had. You have to assume that coaching staff, obviously with their jobs on the line, they weren't going to put him out there if they thought they weren't going to have a better chance with him than who else was there. But it was not a great situation. I cannot imagine that other quarterbacks even better than Rudolph would have led that team to a division title or anything wild. They might, Mahomes and Allen might have won a game or two more, but I don't think Mahomes is going to elevate that team to a title team, even though he did it with the Chiefs without a number one and number two, arguably. So you got to give Rudolph a talent around him. He has more talent around him now than he did on that Titans team, but there are still holes here. And the weird thing about this matchup with the Bears have really been winning off offense, not so much defense, despite their defense being what always has been their calling card for 70 plus years during their best seasons. So there's a chance they could hit some deep passes here. That's the one thing about Mason as a backup. He has a beautiful deep ball. Like, he can hit the deep ball. So I wouldn't be shocked if they try that early, try to take some pressure off him if they get a lead. But the problem is, it's gonna be hard, you'd imagine, with Rudolph to fight fire with fire. And if the Bears offense is clicking, for him to be able to hang, or the Steelers offense in general to be able to hang. You kind of could argue that they were vulnerable to lose this even with Rodgers, the way this team has been playing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think he has some limitations, obviously. I mean, his
obviously.
off-script throws, I think he's bad on.
Yeah.
He's his lack of mobility a little bit. I mean, he although he has showed sometimes he can extend some plays, but he does have a good deep ball. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Rodgers at this age. Yeah, no, he has a great deep ball. I mean, I think the problem is, Bill, and this is what the fans, I think this is why they're sometimes not fair to Rudolph. Kenny Pickett was a first-round pick, so it's fair to say that he was a bust and didn't live up to it, and that's obviously very polarizing to say. Mason Rudolph was a third-round pick, despite a great college run. He was a third-round pick. So if you're really being fair to him, if he goes out there and manages the game and they lose, or he gives you a ceiling of play, which he certainly does, there are fans who just are just irate with the guy. But to be fair, you shouldn't really expect much more out of a third-round pick who's been a career backup. It's not his fault the Steelers offered him a deal. You're obviously not going to say no to a lot of money to even be a backup with a team that you're familiar with if no one else gave you a great opportunity. So I think he's even talking to him, he seems much more comfortable and kind of have come to terms with his place in the game, that he's going to be able to be around for a while. I'm sure he can get future NFL contracts. I'm sure he knows he's not, going to be able to turn it around and get to Canton someday. Maybe his ceiling is doing a Geno Smith and in his 30s having 2 or 3 years winning a Comeback Player of the Year award. Maybe that'll be what he can dream of someday in the future. But I don't think his brain is where 2019 was, where he was kind of thinking, okay, I got benched. People were putting it out in his camp that he thought he was still better than Duck. I think his numbers actually still were, but the team wasn't winning for him. They were winning for Duck. He seemed, people were putting it out that he was very upset with his treatment, that he didn't like Pittsburgh. He didn't like the fan base. That's not him now. He wouldn't have come back if he hated Pittsburgh and the fans and was annoyed with it. Him and Tomlin are certainly on good terms. So I just think he's comfortable in his own skin. He knows his situation. He knows his limitations. I don't think he's going to go ahead and lose you the game as much as he would have 3 or 4 years ago. Does he give you enough to win a game against a good team? That's the question. Probably not. But if they win, they get their turnovers. So you're talking about TJ Watt before I jumped on. The defense needs to know we got to step up. We got to get a takeaway or two. We're vulnerable with the young quarterback that we're facing. We got to do that. When the Steelers win, they get turnovers. When they don't get turnovers, they don't win.
Mason Rudolph too this time around has an amazing stash. You gotta hand it to him.
100%. You got to keep that. You win this week. He needs to keep that. He needs to make that like a hockey beard. Keep it as long as the team's rolling with him.
We got John Phillips backstage. Let's go ahead and bring John in here. Okay. He's in the terminal here. John, you with us there, buddy?
I think we're gonna get him.
John has froze. Looks like.
Oh, really? I don't. I just see
That's
black.
Not good.
I just see darkness.
Yeah.
Putting an effort in.
Yeah. No, John's. We'll wait here and see if John pops in. But no, I mean, yeah. So before you came on, I was talking to and I was talking to Coach Haley about this as well. Yeah. To me, TJ Watt's going to have a big game today. I think you've got to contain Caleb Williams. He's a dual threat. He's got threats too. I mean, God, this guy has a lot. I mean, when you look at it, who all he has, Roma Dunze, DeAndre Swift has been, good this year. Cole Kmet, he has weapons. He definitely has some weapons. At his disposal. When you look at this Bears being 7-3, I mean, are they a solid 7-3 in your mind, Mike, or are they kind of like? I know their biggest criticism is, hey, they really haven't played a lot of,
Right.
What's your take on that?
I think we're going to find out more of that answer as the season progresses. Obviously, if you're a Bears fan, it's hard to be unhappy with this season. You feel like you're getting progress from the young first-round quarterback. You do have a lot around him. You can make an argument they're giving Caleb Williams more of an opportunity than they've provided, the franchise has provided any other quarterback forever. Right. I mean, he really is the most talented Bears quarterback, maybe of all time, as much as that it sounds insane, because the Super Bowl teams mostly had game managers. And he has proven that he's even taken a step from last year, which is what you entered the season wanting to see the team take a step. I don't think the Bears behind closed doors, and I don't think the most reasonable Bears fan entered the season saying, if we don't win the division, it's a failure. That would be a little unreasonable in year 2 of this operation with this young quarterback. And they're exceeding expectations right now, win-loss wise. But I actually wrote about this recently, kind of what you're saying. And if you look at their schedule, they're winning. They have even divisional wins. But yeah, I mean, they're beating the Saints. They beat the Commanders, who they squeaked by 1 point. They beat the Raiders by 1 point. They beat the Cowboys back prior to them trying to get better and the defense being better. That was back when they just allowed points to everybody. They got destroyed by the Lions. They split with Minnesota so far, and that's been a hot and cold team so far. They crawled to a victory with the Giants, who have also been kind of a hot and cold team that recently has found something with Dart, but at that time wasn't that great. Their schedule has not in any way been difficult. They also do have some, again, random weird moments. They also barely got through a game with the Bengals. And they got blown out by teams that you imagine are not really going to go anywhere even in the preseason when they're kind of getting things rolling here. So overall, preseason to regular season, they've either lost big to teams that were supposed to be playoff teams, like say the Bills before the year got underway. They have those splits in the divisional games. They have a relatively easy schedule, crawled through some wins. They won a lot of one-score games. They lost to some rough teams, even though they only have those 3 losses. So I can't say the Bears right now are some dark horse NFC championship favorite or anything like that. It's also a very tough division that they're in. But if they get this win and they keep on rolling, then eventually, and Mike Tomlin says this, Bill, that you're only as good as your record says you are. So they're 7-3. It's a better record than the Steelers. And who knows? I mean, after this game, it does get harder. They have the Eagles, they have the Packers, then they got Browns, which you imagine to win. Packers again, like Pittsburgh, they got their rival multiple times before the end of the year, 49ers and Lions. They really maybe only win 2 or 3 of those games left, and that's assuming a split with Green Bay. So they could end up still not a playoff team despite this great year they're having so far. They need these wins for the overall record, even though Pittsburgh's not in the conference. We'll see. I don't think they're a team that Pittsburgh can't beat, but with Mason Rudolph, they got to be better than they've been in recent weeks. If the Bears win this, I don't think anyone would be surprised, especially at home. So this is kind of a game that both teams are tested. It's hard maybe to say that with Mason out there than Aaron, but I mean, neither team can afford to just punt games, but the Bears have been, they've been taking advantage of a schedule, but we've seen Steelers teams over the years not take advantage of a schedule.
Correct.
So you got to do that. And we've seen Bears teams not take advantage of a schedule. And we saw the Chiefs last year win 11 one-score games to win the AFC. So the Bears it looks like they have 4 or 5 so far. Hey, if they keep on winning them, they're wins. They count the same as if you're winning by 30.
Right. Yeah, I know. You were saying that. I mean, I looked that up too. They've been winning close games. 5 of their 7 victories decided in the final quarter.
Yeah, that's wild, and that's also for the quarterback. I mean, you have to like that a veteran group around him. Doomsday obviously also young, and then you have Caleb Williams, but Caleb Williams kind of playing like a veteran in terms of his personality a little bit. I know that's polarizing as well, but he's not feeling like the moment's too big. He's leading them on comebacks. He's keeping them in it. Like there's a lot of things to feel good about this year. If you're a Bears fan, even if they would get destroyed by the Steelers, we'll see what their fan base really, thinks of the year, depending on how it closes. But I think Caleb Williams is especially showing something this year for them to be able to come back, to stay in games, to be the leader of this team, to play way better than even last year. And they're putting a lot around him. And Roma Doomsday, I love that draft pick, and I mean, he's somebody that everyone around the country thinks is going to be a stud for years to come, and maybe even has not hit his potential either. And the Bears are doing this with kind of an up and down run game as well. So a lot has been put on Caleb Williams, and they're winning to this point.
Yeah, you got to give him credit. All right, we do have John. Let's bring John in here. John, can you hear us?
There we go.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Geez. I hear you.
Can hear you perfect.
Hear you
crystal
right.
clear.
Yeah.
So,
Well, hey, it's better than being up in the air 30,000 feet right now. I'm on flight 3 waiting, so
Oh, wow.
and I still have a 2-hour drive to get home. But when you're pretending to be in the media like I am sometimes, you got to pay. This is the price you pay, right?
Yeah, you.
So
I'm sure you didn't mind that. You probably loved every second of it.
no, look, as I was telling him earlier, maybe about a half an hour ago. I mean, when you get a chance to cover a championship run of a
Right.
professional team, it's
Right.
special.
Yeah.
Right.
And 26 years this club has been around. They've never sniffed a title before, and they did it in the most unique way. 450 minutes of scoreless playoff soccer plus stoppage time. They convert 13 of 14 penalties, and they lift the cup. It was pretty awesome.
How about that, folks? We talk football both kinds here.
That's
right.
City Sunday,
Yeah.
both kinds.
That's right.
But
The
obviously,
American and the association football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess obviously the big story is that Mason's going to start, and so now we just have to. I guess we're all going to become doctors and try to figure out what the extent of this injury is for Aaron. And look, I think the team's in capable hands, and I think Mike said something that was important earlier, and I want to just kind of bring that back up and say he's got more talent around him that he did certainly last year in that disaster that was Tennessee.
Right.
And still is. His in his 8th year in the league. It's his 8th year in the league. He's a seasoned veteran. And, look, he learned under the feet of Ben Roethlisberger. Now he's been, with Aaron for 4 or 5 months.
He's way better now than he was in the 2019 year that Joe brings up. Like, you can just look at his play. He's light years from that.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Absolutely, 100% right. He's a completely different quarterback. And again, when you look at the development of quarterbacks in this league, I go back to Geno Smith. It took him quite some time. Yeah, it took him some, and obviously the West Virginia tie-in. But just one example of just quarterbacks take time. Sometimes they just take time.
Yeah,
and they hit a window. They hit a Trent Dilfer. I mean, he had a magical season for what it was worth. He was serviceable enough. It was for him. It was a good enough season. But I'm just trying to bring up some names where look at Doug Williams. Doug was a journeyman.
Brad Johnson.
Brad Johnson. I was just going to say, how about Brad Johnson?
Another
one. Yeah.
It happens, and especially in this league, and especially at that position. So, look, again, what's the key? Again, Mike, this is why I bring you on and pay you the top dollar. They have to force turnovers, right? Who wins the turnover battle today is going to be the winner of this game, most likely.
It's the simplest thing. And to be honest with you, it's the simplest thing. And I don't even think you need a Scott analyst or someone like me to come on here for 20 minutes and explain this. When the Steelers get turnovers and take advantage of opportunities this year, they win. If they don't get them, they don't win. That's really what it is. That's really been the case. And when you think about it and kind of what you're saying there, Mason Rudolph is a former 3rd-round pick that is mostly a career backup, that is a backup right now, that's getting backup paid money, that is coming in for a future Hall of Famer to be a serviceable guy if you have to have him for 2 or 4 games. If he and fans may not want to hear this, if he would go out there and play poorly and they would lose the game, yeah, you want to be disappointed, etc. But the ire of the world for the season overall really shouldn't be on him. The defense is who's getting paid the big bucks. The defense is the group that has future Hall of Famers on it that are still active, that are playing this year and have been playing all the games, and as other Pro Bowlers and stars, etc. The defense has been improved in the offseason and was focused on. So the defense is the one that has the pressure to step up. The examples you guys mentioned are quarterbacks that are journeymen, that played average football, that managed the game, and their defense elevated the team and allowed them to win. The defense has the pressure to step up today. There needs to be a meeting for the defense, and they may have done this, where they say to ourselves, we have the backup in. Yeah, we trust him. We got to show up. We can't have a rough day and then have him have all the fans on him all next week and have that be all talk radio. If they lose and Mason throws 2 picks and the defense forces 3 turnovers and the defense plays well, it's on Mason. He's getting paid. He got to be better. But if Mason manages the game and the defense allows 30 points, you can't put it on Mason. He's the backup. There's a ceiling of what you got to expect. You need to expect elite play from the defense, including TJ Watt and Cam Hayward, who are getting paid top dollar, and both got new deals this offseason, especially TJ Watt with a mega deal.
I wanted to throw this out. Chicago 6-0 when forcing multiple turnovers. I mean, that's kind of a Captain Obvious statement, but
Yeah, them too.
yeah. But I mean, Mason's going to have to protect the ball today. I mean, in
100%.
order to have a chance, you're going to have to protect the ball today, and
100%.
I think he can do it. I mean, hey,
There's worse quarterbacks to put in as a backup. I mean, how many teams would you rather put their backup in?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's going to also depend on what type of game plan Art Smith's been cooking up all week. Let's just be honest; they probably knew early in the week
Oh, 100%.
what was going to happen and how this was going to play out. So they've been cooking up
100%.
stuff all week. No doubt in my mind. And so look, again, I don't expect him to go out there and sling it 40 times. I don't think he will. They should probably try to run the ball a little bit more too, right? And I talked about this on the show Wednesday with you, Bill. I talked about how this team, right, when they play teams that so far, they're 7-3, and their two of their losses came against teams that are above 500, and they lost by a combined 45 points in that game, and they're -6 point differential, and they're 7-3. It's almost statistically impossible.
Yeah.
So when they face better competition, they don't do as well, right? So we've seen that this year. That trend is certainly something that could be something to look at. I mean, the Steelers are 6-4, and they've beaten just as bad a football teams as the Bears have to get to where they are.
right. It's hard to poke too much at the Bears' schedule when you think about any comparison. But to your point, we talked about it earlier. The Bears have 4 or 5 one-score victories this year.
Yep.
So the reason why they're able to be 7-3 and in the playoff hunt, despite your statistical anomaly, is they're just crawling to victories in the fourth quarter and getting one-score wins. But they, as Mike Tomlin says, you're only as good as your record says. This is not college football where like Pat Narduzzi can just lose out of conference games, win the ACC games, then maybe get in the CFP, and that's the system, and he's taking advantage, and kudos to him. But in the NFL, you gotta win games in general. Like your overall record matters, and the Bears are winning the games. But yeah, are they that great of a team? Not really, probably.
Yeah, no, probably not. Hey, is Zig ready by any chance?
He is backstage. We're gonna bring him on.
Get out of here, Mike.
Yeah,
appreciate
Mike,
you helping out. I'm sorry,
Mike.
I've been traveling, but I
Real quick,
appreciate
Mike.
you.
No problem.
Final score.
Wow. I'm gonna go Bears 30, Steelers 24, maybe. I think the Bears do win this. I don't think Mason's horrendous, but I think the Bears offense has been better than people think it is because it's just the Bears, and you wouldn't imagine that. But yeah, I think the Bears get this. I think there's turnovers on both sides. I think they maybe take advantage too. I think Caleb Williams plays better than Mason. I'm going to give this one to the Bears, But yeah, I mean, I'm sure Tomlin also, if Mason would win this game, he's going to love going in that post-game presser after everybody in the brothers said Aaron's going to start, and we all assume Aaron's going to start, including me. He knew he probably was laughing at all those posts out there and stories, and then Mason goes in there, so he would love getting that win with Mason. But I don't know how Aaron might feel some type of way of getting the win and not being the guy of credit against the Bears that he owns. But I think the Bears kind of get some Aaron Rodgers revenge without Aaron Rodgers out there in a weird way. So I will hand it off to Zig. Great seeing you, John. Glad you could jump on here for sure.
Happy Thanksgiving, Mike.
Oh, yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to both of you for sure as well. It is the greatest holiday of all time. So enjoy it.
Right. Oh, wow, there's a hot take. How about that right there? End the segment. See you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. All right, let's bring him in here. Zig, how are we doing today, Zig?
Bill, I'm doing well. JP, what are you in Guam now on your way to Borneo? Or what?
I am. With a stop in Pago in between, buddy. It's been quite the trip to Tulsa and back. I've 5 airlines, and I'm on the last leg, brother. So
over here.
I'm Tulsa King. I was Tulsa. I don't have any
Tulsa time.
Yeah, right. I don't have any resemblance to Sly, unfortunately. So there you go. So you were telling me via text or the group that Tomlin went on some show that's watched even less than this one and said that Aaron wasn't playing. How did this go down?
It was Evan Washburn, I think, interviewed
like
on the sideline.
It's like a pre-show, I think, on the CBS network, like with 5 people on it. So
okay.
That's where they found it. But yeah. But
we're doing slightly better than that then.
Yes.
Okay. No, hey.
No,
We've had
I'm
some
kidding.
we've had some decent audiences. I'll be, this
Built
one's
a hell of a thing here, JP.
we're trying to. Well, it helps when you have good people like you working here. So I would assume, and I
Mhm.
talked about this moments ago. You got to think that they knew this early in the week, right? Like they probably knew
Oh,
this Monday, right, Zig? I mean, come on.
yeah, I mean, listen, these coaches like to draw out the drama, as well as I do. And, even Todd and I got into a little bit of a debate yesterday on the show talking about the fact that, you know, i- this thing happened less than a week ago. So, how is he, first of all, going to be able to handle a faster snap coming to him via shotgun? And then what happens when he tries to hand off, because he can't hand off with the left hand? Todd was explaining when Kurt Warner had a left elbow injury, basically he had to curl the ball with the right hand and try to do handoff. So I think in the end, they probably knew all along Arrow wasn't going to play, but because he's out there creating the image, creating the drama that Aaron likes to do, although in this case, I don't think he actually created this. The fact of the matter is, in the end, they probably knew all along that Mason Rudolph was going to play. And you know what? Having him back in the building, guys, ain't that bad of a deal. I mean, the guy's a serviceable quarterback. I don't know if you win with him long term, but for the interim, you can probably maybe do well in a few games. So I'm not
Well,
surprised at all.
and I've said that, Zig. I mean, you generally perceive him as a high-end backup rather than a long-term franchise solution.
Right.
I mean, he's had some inconsistency in his career. I mean, when you look at it, he had a 3-game winning streak. To get that playoff berth in 2023, it didn't end too well in Buffalo. But earlier in his career, 2019. He had a string of poor performances that led to him getting benched in favor of Duck Hodges. So I think that he's definitely, a serviceable backup. And,
Sure.
I think that he can come in and protect the football and get you what you need in order to win. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I feel more comfortable him under center than, Aaron Rodgers with a freaking fractured wrist under center.
Exactly. Yeah.
And let's face it too, how did he get hurt? He got hurt by bracing a fall. So
That's right.
how's he going to do that? If he was to start today. So
Exactly.
So now the question is this, okay? With the league in bed with FanDuel, with individual teams in bed with their own individual gambling partners, at what point does the NFL have to responsibly say to teams like the Steelers or anybody, all 32, hey, you got an injury of this nature, Thursday. There's got to be a deadline before 90 minutes before kickoff, don't you think? I mean, is that not that's
that's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying from that end of the marketing standpoint, and already there's enough people that are already saying, hey, watch this referee do this on this play, or watch this on that play. And we had an incident a few weeks ago in the NBA, right? That's separate, but well, there was baseball. We've seen some things from baseball. We've seen some things from the NFL where guys are taking money. I think it's a little irresponsible, and I'm just saying, I think it's 90 minutes before kickoff or 2 hours before kickoff to make that announcement with your starting quarterback, I think is a bit preposterous.
It is, but at the same time, it's always been like this. And to be quite honest, I don't know if I see that anytime soon. But maybe that is something, John, that changes the dynamic of a little bit on that. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, just a hot take on something like that, Zig. You know what I mean? I mean, but again, you're taking tens of millions. Who knows what the deal is with FanDuel for the league? It's got to be a monster deal, of course. But their handle is like 17-18%. They're making money hand over fist, so they're happy to pay it. Not to mention the deals that they're making with the other teams in the league. But just something that kind of comes across my mind. Okay, Zig, let's talk about these two defenses, tops in the league and turnovers. Who's going to win that victory today and maybe secure victory because they force the ball out of the opponent's hands more often than the other?
Well, that's going to be interesting because I don't know if Chicago's got a defense. If you really think about, look at this. Their top 2 corners and their top 3 linebackers are all going to be out of this game. So it makes you wonder where the plays are going to come from for Ben Johnson's Bears. So that's going to be worth something to look at. And with on the Pittsburgh side, Slay's going to play. I know Hayward was in a walking boot earlier in the week, but it looks as though he's going to be a go. So if you would use that logic, you would think that maybe Pittsburgh has a chance to create more plays defensively, but then that puts the onus on Caleb not to turn the ball over. And we'll see, this is going to be a litmus test for Chicago because, quite frankly, their record, as good as it is come against some bad teams. But then the old argument isn't a good team one that beats the teams they should? And Chicago has clearly improved. So this will be a benchmark test to see if, Caleb can be that number one overall pick against a good defense like Pittsburgh. So that's going to be worth seeing.
How bad are the Ravens going to beat the brakes off the Jets today?
Yeah.
Or is Taylor coming in at quarterback going to help them?
Well, you got to think, JP, that, Tyrod with his experience obviously has seen everything. But let's face it, Baltimore, they're a juggernaut right now. They've won 4 in a row. That defense with Zach Orr is clearly improved. And Lamar is starting to look like Lamar again. And he's, definitely putting more faith and trust back in Mark Andrews. Everybody came against him, especially after dropping that 2-pointer against the Bills in the playoffs. People thought he was shot, but that's clearly not the case. He's got more weapons to distribute. I would think the Ravens win that game rather easily today.
All right, we got Zig Fracassi with us, our NFL insider from SiriusXM's NFL Radio. This is Steel City Sunday. I'm at the Reagan International Airport in Washington, D.C., trying to get to Akron and eventually home after my trip to Tulsa. We appreciate Zig and everybody putting up with all of this. And Bill, of course, Aikens, our producer, doing a great job while I've been traveling this morning. Detroit and the Giants, Zig, I want to talk a little bit about this game. Right. This team, when the Lions lose, they come back. Not only do they win, they cover the spread. They're 6-4.
Yeah,
not as a little bit of a struggle this year for them in what is a tough division. I mean, you had the Packers out front for quite a while, and then they've slipped as of late. Right. Detroit 6-4 needs a win. I think they're on the outside looking in right now, or they're pretty close to being. I haven't looked at
They would be on the outside looking in right now.
Yeah, okay, right now.
Barely, yeah.
Yeah.
How much are they missing Laporta? That's what I want to know.
That's a great question, Bill. I would say that's his security blanket.
Right.
As much as he likes to utilize Sonic and Knuckles in the backfield, and obviously Jameson Williams is emerging as a real big time threat. And you know what you get with Amon-Ra, but it seems as though whenever is that clutch, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 play is needed, he goes to the former Iowa tight end. So that's going to be something worth adjusting. And I'll say this, too. They had their chances last Sunday night in Philadelphia. And as much as I love Dan Campbell and his aggression, I think there were times he overdid it with these fourth down calls, maybe because it was the wind that was creating havoc with the field goals and everything like that. But you've got to have some faith in your kicker. So I think they got to dial that down a little bit today. They're at home. They're indoors at Ford Field, and you're going against 30-man Jameis. I think the Lions get healthy pretty well today.
Speaking of being on the outside looking in, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't lost. It's only been a handful of times where under Patrick Mahomes that they've lost 2 in a row. They're currently on a 2-game slide. Indianapolis, I mean, they're still in the 3 spot at 8-2, but again, who have they beaten? Okay, they've beaten bad teams. You have to beat them. This is a real big game, and Kansas City favored by now 3.5, I see, according to the number.
Yeah, and it's amazing, John, that they're if you look at their defensive categories, we did this yesterday, they're top 10 in all the key categories, points allowed, yardage, and all this kind of thing. Yet here's the major difference: 0-5. Record in 1-score games. What were they last year? 12-0. They're not winning those games this year. That this is where somehow they got to turn back the clock and do that against a pretty darn good Indianapolis team. So this is going to be a test. This may be one of those metaphoric games where if KC wins, it's almost like the Beatles at the end there with let it be. You almost feel the end coming. But if they do go on, then they can power up. But if they do lose, and I think it's a strong possibility, especially if they can't contain Jonathan Taylor, then maybe, just maybe, the end has come. And I was doing this little stat the other day, guys. In the Mahomes era itself, they have played 21 postseason games. So if you think about that over accumulating time, that's a season and a quarter extra. That puts a lot of wear and tear on the body. So maybe it could be, guys, as good as Mahomes has been, maybe the other guys, they're just spent after this big run.
Well, I've said it. They're old, number one.
Yeah.
But I mean, they have not been able to run the football this year. That's really been
Great
a little.
point. And Pacheco's out too, I think, Bill. So
yeah, I mean, so they've got problems, and they are many. So.
And Andy Reid isn't getting any younger at 67.
No, that's a good point.
And again, like you said, the teams go through these cycles. It just happens, right? They get older, they lose players, they injuries.
You draft lower in rounds.
You draft less, you draft lower, absolutely. And if you got to make it count when you're getting them at that point. If you're drafting 30, 31, 32, somewhere in that range, you got to make sure that whatever you're picking up is going to help you. Just a minute or two left with Zig Fracassi, our NFL insider. This is Steel City Sunday. We got Beat and the Bookie coming up in our Consigs pick segment
John,
here in a few minutes. Yes, sir.
Can I share that nugget I want with you guys about Todd Haley's dad?
Yeah. You mentioned it in the group text. Go ahead.
Yeah. Usually I don't direct programming because this is your show, but I thought this would be rather interesting. Of course, we know that this is in American history, a sad weekend, the 62nd anniversary of the assassination of President Kennedy. Well, of course, the AFL didn't play games that weekend. The NFL did. And it just so happened 62 years ago, the Bears played the Steelers this weekend at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh. The final score was 17-17. And you know who had an interception on that day? Dick Haley, the father of our own Todd Haley. How's that for a little historical tidbit?
That's boy. You had to break out a shovel, a pick, a dozer. You probably had a small team of excavation experts to find that one. That's fantastic.
No, it's Pro Football Reference. They have the box
Is that
score
right?
There. Yeah, Dick Haley, 37-yard interception return. Yeah.
Wow.
That's fantastic, Sig. I tell you, this is why we bring you on, buddy. You not only are you knowledgeable,
unearthed.
Yeah, you're unearthed. You're a historian. It's pretty good.
And a gentleman. Yeah.
That's right. All right. Before we let you go, prediction on today's game.
Ooh, boy, with all those defensive hurts, I would like to go with Pittsburgh, but just something tells me that this is a prove-it game for Chicago and for Caleb, and if they get Swift going in that backfield and everything, I'll say 27-24 Bears.
He's Zig Fracassi, our NFL insider from SiriusXM's NFL Radio. Zig, thank you, buddy.
Love you guys.
Thanks, Zig.
Take care.
Yep.
All right.
Take care, Zig.
He is a gem, and he's the gift that keeps on giving. Is Mr. BTB in the backstage?
He is.
Let's bring in Rob.
He is.
Try to get him on. It's a busy man here. How you doing, BTB? You look good. We lost him. We'll get him back in a minute.
Yeah.
I tell you, I thought I was a busy guy. This guy, he's unbelievable. He's up in the mornings at like 5 a.m. knocking it out in the gym, and he does not stop. He's one of the best.
With greatness comes a price, John. It does.
That's what
they say.
It does for sure. We'll get Beaton the Bookie on here in just a few minutes, and we'll get him on here. We'll talk a little bit about his thoughts on today's games. I want to talk a little bit about yesterday's college football with him briefly, just because I know he's a big Canes fan. He's down in South Florida. He comes from that old school of, Canes football in the glory days. And obviously Miami has been searching for that magic formula for quite a long time. They have not been relevant in 22 years or whatever it is, 23 years. And he goes on some epic rants. He's been using some sort of AI to create these videos. just he's as entertaining as anybody I've seen on gambling Twitter in a long time. That's why I asked him to come back again a second time. He's our first repeat guy on the Consig's Pick segment for a reason, because he's so entertaining. I love him. I just absolutely love him. Look, with all these injuries, and I'm gonna, as Matt Grubba rolling around behind me. Did you get something to eat, sir? Were you able to eat? Okay, good. He feels much better. It was a long night for him.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm sure. I mean, it would be a long night for me if I was there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But
he is back.
Okay, let's get him in. Let's get the man, the myth, the legend himself. You can find him on X. You can find him on Instagram at Beaten the Bookie. Of course, his website, beatenthebookie.com. Professional gambler. One of the best followers on X. How you doing this morning, Rob?
I'm pretty good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, sir. I can hear you just fine. Can I just say, I don't know what AI program you have found lately, but these videos you are doing are just, I mean, I'm rolling. The one about the Florida athletic director. Oh, you can't hear me.
My sound shut off.
I can hear you. I can definitely hear you. I can hear you for sure. Maybe you cannot hear me. I'm going to put some headphones in here in a minute. We'll let him get set up here.
I can't hear anything.
I can hear you good, John. I mean,
I can hear him as well. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping we can get him connected. We'll see.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. We can hear you for sure, 100%.
I can't hear you guys.
That's if he can't hear us,
let me restart it. Hold on.
That's fine. Sorry. That's fine. No, you're okay. Love having him on. Is that any better? Can you hear me now?
He's restarting.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. These things happen, these little glitches from time to time. We missed Anthony Halkeas this week. That's okay, young man. We appreciate you. We'll get to you next week. We'll hopefully have Rob here in a few minutes. Again, I find it comical that they and to the Steelers' credit, right? The league rules give you so much. Back. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if this helps.
All right. I can hear you now.
Okay. Perfect. You're in good shape, Rob. How you doing?
Pretty good. Had a good Saturday. So.
Yeah. Only a casual 7-0 in soccer. Oh, jeez. Oh no. Nope.
I don't know
can
what's
you hear?
Going on.
That's okay. Maybe we can try next week. Maybe we can try him next week. It's okay, Rob. It happens. That's all right. I'm gonna send him a quick message. We'll try him next week. I don't even have anything to write with right now. I think I have something here. Hang on.
Can you hear us, Rob?
I can hear you. I just turned my Bluetooth off now.
Okay, he can hear us now.
Okay. So I wanted to say, what's this AI program you have found lately that you're? Oh, geez. Can you hear me this time?
I can't hear again. I don't know what's happening.
That's all right. We can try it next week. Next week, I'm going to try to communicate with him here real quick. I'm going to put a little note up.
Yeah, we could hear him perfect, and he would hear us for like a few seconds, and then it seemed like his camera would turn for some reason, and then he couldn't hear us again. So I don't know. That was weird.
That's the same problem that Fedco was having last week.
He's back. Hold on.
Try it one more time.
That's fine.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's hope it stays this way. How you doing this morning, Rob?
I'm pretty good. As long as my phone keeps working.
Hey, I got to ask you real quick. What's this AI program of you doing? He lost you again. We lost you.
Now.
It's okay.
Oh my God.
That's okay. No. Where did my little note go? I lost my note.
I don't know what's going on.
It's okay. Where the hell did my note
I don't know.
go?
I can't hear anything.
It's okay, brother.
It's making me angry.
Can you hear? Test 1, 2.
I don't know what is happening. I just can't hear anything.
That's okay. We'll try next week. Let's try next week. Okay? We'll try next week. Hopefully. Can you hear us?
It stops after like a few seconds every time. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's
But,
okay.
Yeah. Can you hear us, Rob? No,
Nope,
I don't
that's
think you can't hear us. Nope.
it's okay. Rob, thank you, man. We'll try you next time. We'll get him next time. I'll send him an email.
Somebody says because he keeps switching his phone sideways.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's the same thing we had with Fedco last week.
Yeah.
We'll give him take him out of the backstage, put him in the backstage. We'll try to figure it out. It's okay. I'll send him a quick email just to connect with him. Look, these things happen sometimes in when you're doing a show of this nature. And with me on the road as much as I have been this weekend, it's been quite difficult. Yeah. He trying again?
No, he's off. He's out completely. So
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's continue on here. I will let's see if we can get Paul in a few minutes early because I think our flight's delayed, isn't it? I think our flight is delayed or our gate. Oh, we are. So I'm going to be boarding here real soon. Let's see if we can get Paul in here. I don't know if Paul's going to be able to get in or not. Paul, let's see if I can get Paul in here, and then maybe we just kind of wrap the show up, I guess. Free now. Let's see if he is free. I sent him a message, and we'll try to get him in here. Okay. So, look, I want to see more of Gainwell this week. I'm not kidding you. I would like to see them mix it up a little bit more. I wouldn't mind seeing him on first down. I don't know how you feel about that, Bill, but and Jalen needs to be more involved on the third down plays. I think it's time for Art Smith to mix this up a little bit today, especially with all these injuries they have on the defensive side.
Well, I'll tell you what. If we can run the football, I think we can win this game. I mean, just judging on the injuries with the Bears. I mean, and they didn't really have a great run defense as it is. I was talking to Coach Haley earlier. He said, they give up on average 100. They were giving up at one point 135 a game. So I mean, I just I think this is the game where you try and pound the football and. You may have a limited playbook too with Mason Rudolph. I don't know. I mean,
if they limit the playbook on him, shame on them.
Yeah. Well,
if
we
they
know that
limit the playbook on him. Shame on them.
But couldn't you see that happening though, John? I mean,
anything's possible with Tomlin.
Right.
I mean, and Art Smith. I mean, I'm not saying that Art's taken all of his orders from Mike, but I'm sure Mike is. He's going to be joining us in about 5 minutes. I just think it's funny if they try to limit the playbook with him. I'd go ballistic. I'm just telling you right now. He's got 8 years in the league. You can't limit him.
No,
you can't limit him.
I don't think they should. But I could see Arthur Smith, game planning like that. Oh, let's limit him a little bit, and I just I don't know, but I want to see a big game from TJ Watt today. He's last 10 games, he's had 6 sacks. People are complaining about the production. They're comparing him to Myles Garrett. I want to see him have a big game today. I think if you move him around, you could.
Here's what I'll tell you. Caleb Williams holds the ball longer than most of the starting quarterbacks in this league. Okay. Now we're not talking about a second or more. We're talking about, a quarter of a second, 3/4 of a second, right? It's close to 3 seconds. I think it's either just above or just below 3 seconds. That's where they can make something happen. And a guy like TJ Watt, who can get to a quarterback in under 3 seconds, right? Highsmith. I think he's playing today. I think they have him. I'm almost certain.
Highsmith's out.
He's out. Okay, then so Nick Herbig, these edge rushers that they have are going to have an opportunity here, and he likes to run the football. He's only in his second year. He's very mobile. The young man certainly is, and we'll probably see some of that today. But because he does hold the ball longer, because he's in the pocket a little bit longer, they're going to get more opportunities at strip sack opportunities and sacks. And that's where you force your turnovers. That's what Watt has made a living on. And, what we've seen of Herbig when he is in there is positive. So that's an element to the quarterback that we're facing where if the secondary can hold up, right? If he's forced to get to a third receiver, right? If he's checking down to 3 and 4, we've got a chance at getting to him potentially or forcing a turnover of some kind. And that's what we're looking for. That's what they need today out of this defense. They need the secondary to hold up their end. They need to, if Williams is in the pocket, he's moving around a little bit, get him moving or just get back there to him and force their hand, right? He's got to get to his third and fourth receivers. If he does, we're going to be able to probably force a turnover or two, and I think it'll be beneficial for us.
Yeah. I mean, he plays behind an elite interior offensive line. I mean, Ryan Poles, general manager, he overhauled that, the interior offensive line. I mean, he's had a lot of, very good key acquisitions. Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, Joe Tooney. I mean, that's drastically improved pass protection for Caleb Williams. He's been sacked significantly less this season compared to the last. But yeah, he does hold the football. And he is a dual threat. I mean, you got to contain him. For the love of God, you got to contain him if you have any inklings about winning this game today.
Yeah, and he's a threat. I'm saying he's a legitimate threat to beat them. I mean, he has been very effective all throughout the course of the season. Just looking at some of his numbers right now, he's got 2,300 yards passing. Running the football wise, he is I think third on the team, and he's got over 200 yards rushing, and he carries the ball at a 5-yard clip. So I mean, again, he's not running the ball a ton of times, but he averages over 5 carries a game. Over 5 carries a game, and he's capable with 3 rushing touchdowns of beating you both ways. It's not his first choice, right? You see quarterbacks with more rushing yards. He is a pocket passer. He was a Heisman Trophy winner at USC. He's capable of throwing the ball downfield. I'm just looking at some of his other numbers here. I mean, his yards per game average is not in the top 5 or 10, but at 232 yards a game, he's serviceable for sure. His completion percentage is a little lower at 59.7, but he's got some good receivers to throw to, DJ Moore and Roma Odzun and Umze, thank you, and there's a few others. DeAndre Swift out of the backfield has been effective for him at times. He's got over 9 yards per receiving out of the backfield. That's pretty good. He's got 4 receivers that are in double digits in terms of their average. So, there's that element that, he's got a receiving core, but we have to be able to hold up our end in covering these guys, right? Whoever's getting the double coverage, the ones that have got the one-on-ones, they're going to have to provide coverage so that forces Caleb Williams to move around in the pocket more and gives our guys a little bit more time to maybe get to him to force a turnover.
It's definitely a different team under Ben Johnson. I mean, last year with the Eberflus in the last couple years, I mean, Eberflus was a more defensive-minded coach. I think Ben Johnson, coming from being a coordinator with the Lions, he just has a better approach to offense, and I think it's made, it's helped Caleb Williams in that offense for sure.
Yeah, absolutely it has. They have improved. That's why they're 7-3 right now and sitting in the 3 spot in the NFC. I mean, with 7 games to go, there's a lot left to be played, but they're in a good position right now, and they've worked their way up. Look, the Packers were 5-1-1 at one point a few weeks ago, and they have stumbled. Chicago has, continued to put wins together. That's it's the way the league is. It's just it's a really wonky league. They've won 3 straight now, and look, they're going to get a backup quarterback today. Even though their defense is, missing 5 starters, they're still going to get a backup quarterback. We'll see what happens. Again, I think it comes down to who forces more turnovers today.
Oh yeah, it's going to be it's whoever wins that turnover battle is going to win, I think.
And as you know, my predictions are always right.
Oh yeah, oh spot on, absolutely, yeah.
Look, I honestly, I don't see this being a high-scoring game today. I don't know. I think the defenses are going to get at these offenses. I think we're going to see some turnovers on both sides of the football. I think it'll be I don't want to say a sloppy game, but I think it's going to be one of those 17-13, 19-17 weird. Somebody's kicker kicks more field goals than the other, and we're not talking about 2. We're talking about 4 or 5 field goals. It wouldn't surprise me to see a 19-17 Steelers win, right?
Well, let's hope they break the historically poor record in Chicago, 1-12 all-time record.
Yep.
Yeah,
that victory. What was it? 90? Was it 95 season? I think it was the 95 season, right? Was that the year that they won up there? Under Cowher.
Under Cowher,
I mean, well, that was the Super Bowl year. So, they've never done well up at Soldier Field. They've never done well in Chicago for whatever reason. It's just one of those elements. It's like when Indianapolis or whenever the Colts come here, the Colts do not do well in Pittsburgh. They've won twice historically in Pittsburgh, and we handed them yet another defeat again a few weeks ago. So we go to Chicago, we lose games. I mean, it's like the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. But maybe this is a different team.
Maybe we got Steel Nation 1 hour countdown.
1 hour countdown to Mason Rudolph. Listen, if he goes out and has the best case, here's the best case scenario. He goes out and kills it today. Then whatever's going on with Aaron Rodgers can just wait itself out.
Yeah.
Right? There doesn't have to be any rush. Now Tomlin will play this up as like a maestro, as he should. But that's the best case scenario, is that he does not struggle, that he does not turn the ball over, he does not throw an interception. That's what's really needed more than anything else.
He just needs to be a game manager. I mean, he needs to manage a game. He needs to be, like you said, I'm not going to say he doesn't necessarily have to win the game. You don't want him losing the game, that's for sure. You don't want him to be the reason why they lose the game. But I mean, I don't know. I think they need love to see Warren come out and just run all over the Bears today. And it can be done. I mean, it can be done with these injuries to the Bears.
Go ahead.
Especially the linebackers. These linebackers, they have some run-stopping linebackers that are out.
Yeah.
Steelers Luchador chimes in. Let's go Steelers, and Mason can do it, John.
I think he can. Again, I don't know why he gets such hate, right? I think this 2019 season is why he gets so much
when
hate.
He got benched for Duck, I think a lot of people were like, you know what, this guy has been inconsistent. And Coach and I were talking about this earlier about when he played for Tennessee. I think you kind of give him a break on that. Tennessee was terrible. I mean, he had no weapons, Now, you can make the argument that, a good quarterback elevates the play around him. Well, I think there's an exception to the rule on that statement, and I think that team was bad, and it just, I don't know. I give him a free pass on that. But you know what? When you look at it, he's faced significant competition, John, on all the teams he's been on. In Pittsburgh, he was behind Ben Roethlisberger for years. A lot of people, and I should have asked Todd this, but a lot of people said that Ben really wasn't the, he wasn't the, didn't really help him too much,
But I got Grubba's shit post to me here on the internet. By the way, he's promoting me. He's promoting. Taking bad photos of me. Not that any of the photos I make are good. But sorry for the profanity.
No, that's fine. Hey, it's a somewhat family show, right? Somewhat.
I'm not the first one to swear. We had a guy a couple of weeks ago who was was profaning. He was like, "Oh, can I do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem."
Yeah, sure, go ahead. You already did it. Keep it going. But no, I mean he's played behind Ben, and I don't think Ben really took him under their wing too much. Ben was pissed off when they drafted him. Let's face it. He competed with Kenny Pickett. You competed with Mitch Trubisky. And then you bring in Aaron Rodgers, and is there a full lack of confidence in this organization in Mason Rudolph? I mean,
and that's what baffles me. It's what baffles me, especially about Tomlin, because the word is that Tomlin's not a fan. Why'd you let Colbert talk you into drafting him? You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah.
Like if you were having these conversations with Ben, hey, look, we're probably looking at a quarterback. Look, we've got to draft your replacement at some point. At some point in time, Ben, the wheels are going to come off, right?
Right.
And not to support this guy if that's the case. And I'm not around the team, and none of us are. But the word is that Tomlin is not a fan. Why are you bringing him back? Why are you investing time in him? Why wouldn't you be a fan of this guy and get in his corner? That
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It just goes to show you the amount of egos that are not just in that locker room, but outside that locker room, in the coach's room, and especially with the man in charge himself.
Right. I think, hey, they brought him back because he's a valuable, capable backup, right? And he agreed to come back, and be that, and be in that role, Has he demonstrated the elite traits that you need, or consistent performance that you need, for a team to hand him the keys and say, hey, you are our guy, you're our long-term starting quarterback? No. But, it is what it is. We got Paul backstage.
All right, let's bring Paul in. I'm just gonna be around for a few minutes, and because we're boarding here in a few, so I'll give about 5 minutes with Paul, and then I'll let you take him till about 20 after or so, and then we can wrap up the show at your discretion, sir. How you doing, Paul?
Doing wonderful, John. I appreciate you let me come on at noon instead of 10 because I was able to get a round of golf in here at Cedar Brook. And my guy John, I said, John, I got to use you got to use your restaurant and everything else. To hook up because I got a pregame show to do. So I would love to thank my friends here at Cedar Brook for accommodating me and allowing me to do this show. Because the bottom line is, John, if it's 38 degrees or warmer and there's a little bit of sun, I'm going to play golf. And you know why,
okay.
John? You want to know why?
Yeah,
Because if I didn't play golf, who the hell knows what I would be doing? So golf is something that keeps me out of trouble. I have a lot of fun. I always enjoy it, and so yes, that's why I was like, I got to be on at noon, not at 10, because 10 is going to ruin my tea time. But go ahead.
Paul, you're a big media star in this town. Of course, people at Cedar Brook are going to make accommodations for you. What are we talking about here?
Yes, absolutely.
That's like the Reagan people knew I was coming in for this show. They kept this little space open for me, gave me some free Wi-Fi. So, but anyhow, All right, Paul. So, surprise or no surprise that Mason's starting? Your thoughts?
Well, I think that Mason Rudolph is starting is probably the right call, right? You've got a 42-year-old quarterback. You got a guy, and to me, I think this is a long-term decision, guys. I don't think this is just this week in mind. I think they're looking at, hey, if we give Aaron Rodgers a week or two off, he'll be fresh. He'll be, refreshed. He'll be ready to really roll down the stretch. And I think that's the big thing to me. Give him a week off. Even if you give him 2 weeks off, especially if you win this week, to me, I just believe that when you have an older quarterback, especially you're a team that's in the North, you're going to play a lot of games in cold weather and all that other stuff. Let him heal up a little bit. Let him get a little bit more refreshed. I think that's the tremendous thing.
Well, and I said it, Paul. I worry about him being under center with a wrist injury. And let's face it, he got injured doing what? Bracing himself. He's not going to be able to do that if he's in there, So,
no.
I think it's the right call. I know Rodgers was pushing to start. Obviously, he owns the Bears, 25-5 against the Bears, including the playoffs. So he owns them. He wanted to play. He may not get another shot at playing them again, because this might be his last year. And, I'm sure he was pushing to play, but I think the right call was made, in my opinion.
Well, here's the thing about that. He owns the Bears. He was on the Packers, who were one of the best teams in the league, and the Bears stunk. So, okay, every time he played them, he's like 25-4 or whatever his record is against them. That's great, but that has nothing to do with right now. To me, I think the biggest thing for the Steelers is they have to play a clean game. I think if Mason Rudolph doesn't turn the ball over, if they don't fumble the ball, if they don't have mishaps in their special teams, if they just play a clean game, I think they're better than the Bears and they're going to win.
Yeah.
And that's probably predicated. That's probably predicated on them running the ball a little bit more, right? I mean, I don't think they should limit Mason. We talked about this. I'm going to bag up here and go, and we're starting to board. I think they need to run the ball 30 times today. I'm not even kidding you. I think if they run the ball 30 times today, they're going to be a little bit more effective. Maybe give Mason just 20 snaps under center, 25.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A good mix, but they got to run the ball more.
You know what, John? I think what you should do is stand up and yell, "Hail to the Redskins! Hail victory! Braves on the warpath! Fight for old DC!" And see how many people in that airport start clapping for you. I think you should do that.
I know this is going to be hard for you to believe, but it is an airport filled with mostly people that are not from around here.
Well, that's all the more reason to do it.
Listen, I might do that, maybe a day before I'm ready to check out of this planet. You know what I mean? I'll go down to the middle of DC, right by one of those museums or whatever, the Jefferson Memorial, and I'll sing that to see how many people sing it with me. How about that?
All right, 1917 Steelers. I'll let you guys take it the rest of the way. We'll talk to everybody sometime this week. Thanks, Paul.
All right, brother. Be good.
See ya.
See ya, John. All right, Paul. So, going into this game, we didn't know, obviously, who was starting. And I think they knew. I mean, what do you think? I think they knew earlier in the week who was going to start this game.
They probably made the decision pretty early in the week. They're not going to play around. They're not going to screw around with that. I mean, come on. You've got you've got the Ravens breathing down your neck. You've got to try and win every game. They're not going to mess around. And it's one thing if they had a 2 or 3 game lead and let's see if Aaron Rodgers can get ready. But they knew that they needed to get him ready. And Rudolph, I mean. And here's the thing. I'm going to tell you the thing about Rudolph. I mean, you can say whatever you want to say about him versus Aaron Rodgers. But here's one thing that is in play today that hasn't been in play this entire season, except for the second half last week when Rudolph played. How about those big chunk plays down the field? Yeah. We haven't seen Aaron Rodgers try and throw them. That tells me he probably can't throw them, or he's limited. But Rudolph is a guy who's going to chuck it down the field a few times. So, I mean, I think DK Metcalf, even a guy like Calvin Austin, one of those guys can get behind the defense. We could see one of those 50 or 60-yard touchdowns today. That's the thing about Rudolph that I think he brings to the table. And guess what? If he connects on one of them early in the game, it opens things up for everybody else. The running game, the tight ends underneath, all that stuff. I think, honestly, there's something to be said about Rudolph being the guy that gives this offense a little bit of an element that they haven't had.
Well, yeah, and I mean, yes, there is limitations with his skill set. I think he has some issues with off-script throws. He's doesn't have mobility. He can't always extend plays. Although I will say, last week there was a couple plays where he did extend. But I mean, he can throw the deep ball, and that's you've got injuries to the Bears in the linebacker. You've got the secondary, you got guys banged up, so that might be something where you want to exploit over the top today. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think that's the big thing. That's what Rudolph brings to you that you probably haven't had with Aaron Rodgers for sure.
Well, and I said, hey, generally he's perceived as your high-end backup. He's not, he hasn't been a long-term franchise solution, but I think he's a serviceable backup, and I think I think he could do good today. So, all right.
Do you think John made his flight? That's the most important thing.
I hope. I think he did. I think John. Yeah, I think he did. Turnover battle, Paul. Both teams pretty good at forcing turnovers. Bears are excellent. I mean, they're 6-0 in forcing multiple turnovers. Mason's got to protect the ball today. I mean, that's.
Well, I think he does a pretty good job of that. I mean, it's not just him. I mean, they get fumbles. They're pretty good at putting some pressure. If you look at them, though, overall their defensive numbers aren't great. They're sort of middle of the road. But just like the Steelers, if you think about it, if they can force turnovers, then all of a sudden, you know what, those yardage totals and some of the other things that aren't great for the Bears, then all of a sudden those things go out the window. So, yes, the Steelers have to protect the ball. But I think the one thing about I think what bothers me the most about the Steelers is they're just way too conservative at times. And I think part of that is, they're trying to protect Aaron Rodgers a little bit. To me, I let Mason Rudolph cook today. If I'm the Steelers, I'm like, listen, he's the guy that's going to throw the ball down the field. Let's try and take some shots early, see if we can get some early touchdowns, and go from there. I don't want to see a real conservative game plan with Mason Rudolph in there. I don't mind it with Aaron Rodgers because I think what they're trying to do is protect him and keep him out of getting hit so much. But to me, I don't want to see a situation of where, they're very conservative with Mason Rudolph.
Well, yeah, and before you came on, that John and I were talking about that. I said I hope they don't limit the playbook. I hope Arthur Smith doesn't limit the playbook with having Rudolph in there. I don't think that he would, but I don't know. I mean, I brought this up to Coach Haley. We were talking about 3 tight end sets. And, I was saying about how the Steelers really don't have a legitimate number 2. I said, the days of your straight line tight ends are over. You see some of these tight ends. I mean, they're almost as athletic as a wideout. I would love to see more of Jonnu Smith. I think maybe I'm off on this, but I think
Can you explain to me why they brought him to this team?
Well, exactly.
What the hell are they doing with him?
I don't know.
That's sense to me. Their game plan with him makes no sense to me. You brought him here, right? He's obviously a guy who has made plays in his career.
88 catches last year.
He's a guy that they target twice a game, and usually it's like a 5-yard pass. I don't get it. I don't understand. To me, it's a waste of time bringing him here if you're not going to use him. So I think he's a weapon. I agree with you. He's a weapon they haven't used nearly enough. He's a weapon that, in my mind, probably, if they continue to do what they're doing, will be the most wasted player on their roster. What are you doing? So I don't understand. And I thought that when they brought him here, he would be a guy that Aaron Rodgers would use a lot.
Right.
But it's just a mystery to me what they're doing with him, and so, I keep hearing about, they've got 3 tight ends. Well, again, I think they've got Darnell Washington, who is kind of an intriguing player to me. Pat Freiermuth, who I still don't think they figured out how to use the right way. And Jonnu Smith, who's wasting away because they never throw it to him. I'm just like, what are you doing?
Well, I've said this before. The main, we don't have a legitimate number 2. Jonnu Smith, I think he could legitimately be your number 2 option if they would throw the freaking ball to him. I agree with you with Freiermuth. He doesn't block well. I think that's one of his limitations, if you will, in the offense. He does catch the ball well. And I think Washington does both, and he's just he's a beast. I mean, we saw him last week. I mean, my God, he was looked like it looked like a boys against a man out there. I think
the thing about him is he's starting to get more comfortable catching the ball and running after the catch. Right. I think that's the big thing, right? Yeah. After he catches the ball, he's starting to really feel comfortable running people over. And I think that's who he is. He's a big physical guy. Here's why, I think that they're right in using him more than the other 2, because he's also a really good blocker. So you can put him on your field on running downs and on passing downs, and you're not necessarily tipping the other team off. I mean, if you
you don't know what exactly. You don't when he gets out there, you don't know what they're going to do.
Right. If you have Jonnu Smith in the game, it's pretty clear they're probably going to throw the ball, right? Because he's not a good blocker. And Freiermuth isn't a very good blocker either. No. So to me, the thing about Darnell Washington is you put him out there, you can run it or pass it. Yep. And you know what? If he catches the ball 3 or 4 times and has like 30 or 40 yards, that's all you're looking for him. And frankly, he gives you another guy inside the red zone where you have a chance, I think, in the red zone, probably to use him even more than they do. I mean, that's the biggest thing to me. So I like Darnell Washington for what his role is, and I think they're building on it, and they're making him more and more important in their offense. I just don't know what they're doing with Jonnu Smith. It just feels like they're wasting him. And, I think Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson they're good complementary. If they're your third or fourth or fifth receivers, you're doing pretty good. But to me, they're just miscast. So it's going to be interesting today because I think Aaron Rodgers is very patient. Rudolph isn't as patient as Rodgers is.
Right.
There's going to be times when Rudolph's going to rip one. He's going to want to rip one down the field. It's going to be interesting to see if he's able to continue to be patient and just understand they don't have the weapons they've had in the past.
Right.
And as a result, the offense has to be kind of conservative.
Yeah. All right, Paul. Let's switch it to defense. I want to see a big game out of TJ Watt. Last 10 games, 6 sacks. The production, I don't know. People have been saying, hey, look at Myles Garrett. Look at what he's doing. I think, hey, they've got to move TJ Watt around. How do you avoid him getting chipped? Move him around, for crying out loud. Why is that so? Why is that so hard to figure out?
Do you think that TJ Watt? This is something I've been actually looking at for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Do you think that TJ Watt is actually enabling some of the other guys to make plays? I mean, there's times when I tell myself, yeah, I think that.
Yeah,
but then there's other times when I'm like, I just think that he's not playing great. And I know that he finds a way to get a sack or finds a way to get a sack here and there, but I honestly don't think he's playing really well right now.
I don't either.
So to me, it's like, are we trying to talk ourselves into, well, because of his presence out there, he's helping other guys make plays? Boy, I don't know. Like Nick Herbig, for instance, I don't think he needs a lot of help to make plays. Now he's a one-trick pony, but if you look at his sack last week, he just blew past the guy. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like they were doubling TJ Watt on the other side. I mean, the bottom line is they were in like a 4 wide receiver set type thing. They were basically trying, or actually they had a tight end, but the tight end, so they basically had 4 eligibles go out. But my point is, it wasn't like they were like doubling TJ Watt. It wasn't like that's why it happened. So to me, I don't know. Is it fair to say maybe he's just not playing very well?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I definitely think it's fair. Like I said, I would move him around a little bit more. I mean, I don't know. I mean, wouldn't you? I mean,
Well, again, but I think the other part of it is though are we starting to see the decline in him? Is what I'm getting at.
Well, yeah.
That's my question, and I've asked myself that for 3 or 4 weeks now. Are we starting to see a little bit of a decline? Because as I think it was Charles Barkley might have been the first person that said this, Father Time is undefeated, right?
He's undefeated. Yeah, exactly.
And the bottom line is when you look at TJ Watt, he doesn't look as explosive to me as he was. He doesn't look like he's, beating even single. I mean, we keep saying, well, he's, getting double teamed, he's getting chipped and this and that and everything. Look, I've seen a lot of plays where he's been singled and not gotten to where he needs to get to.
Well, and I was no, exactly. And I will say one thing too. And some people don't realize this. There's a difference between being double teamed and chipped as well. So,
of course.
But
I'm just saying, I think that when, here's the thing that I like about this defense. They seem to have, now I haven't heard this yet. Is Darius Slay going to start at the second corner spot, or is he just going to play a lot?
No, he's going to start.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
My point is, but I like all of the parts they have in their secondary. I think they've got a lot of good players in their secondary. I really do.
But yeah, but Slay is. He hasn't had a good season, I don't think, this year, and he's 34 years old, for crying out loud. So, I don't know. Paul, Alex Highsmith injured again. I mean, listen, I love Alex Highsmith when he's in there, but this guy can't stay healthy.
Yeah, and the other part of it is I don't know that he's played to his contract since he signed that big contract.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to me, it's like I'm looking at it and I'm saying, I don't know if he's, now the thing about it is when he plays, he's more of a complete player than Nick Herbig is. So I don't have a problem with him playing because I think, but you're right. If you're never healthy, and this is not health, right? This is an illness type thing or something, isn't it?
No, this is pectoral.
Okay. I thought it wasn't. Last week was like 2
last
weeks
week was it? Yeah, a couple weeks ago it was an illness, and then he injured his pec. Yeah,
right. But my point is, if he can't stay healthy, then he's not a guy you really can rely on. And if he's not a guy you can rely on, I mean, he's not playing, up to his contract. But he is a more complete player. I will say this: he is a more complete player. There's no question than Herbig is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I just don't understand really what we're talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, Paul. Before I let you go, final thoughts in prediction.
I think the Bears. I mean, look. I looked at the Bears' 7 wins. Okay, I looked at the Bears' 7 wins. Their best win is what? The Vikings, maybe?
Yeah.
With J.J. McCarthy, who I don't know if that's a good win. Or the Cowboys way early in the season before the Cowboys made some changes. It's clear the Cowboys are now, they've made some changes personnel-wise. They've made some, they're actually better now than they were. Back then, they were terrible at the beginning of the season.
Right.
Well, if you want to tell me, okay, well, they're still the Cowboys, fine. But the Bears have 7 wins, I think, right? They're 7-4.
7-3. 7-3. Yep.
They don't have a single win that's impressive.
No.
They don't have a win that's even like, wow, that's good.
Well, and
my point is, when I was talking about Pitt versus Georgia Tech, this is going to college, right? The thing I said about Georgia Tech is they're 9-1, but they don't have a single good win.
Right.
Like, Pitt should win this game because I think Pitt is better. 9-1, but they're very overrated. I think the same thing about the Bears. They're 7-3, but they haven't beaten anybody. The Steelers have at least beat the Patriots and the Colts, and you know what I mean? They've got some wins. Okay, that's something you can look at. But I'm looking at the Bears, and I'm like, they're just not that good. I'm not sure I believe in Caleb Williams yet. I'm not sure that I believe in Ben Johnson as this, quarterback whisperer and everything else. My prediction is this. I think the Steelers, this is going to be a kind of a grinded out, at times not pretty, at times not always fun to watch kind of game. But I feel like the Steelers are going to win this game, and I think it's going to be something like 23-13, something like that. Kind of you know what I mean? A game like that where it's not really high scoring, but the Steelers score enough points, they kick enough field goals where, and they get a couple of touchdowns or what, maybe even a defensive touchdown, and they limit whatever the Bears are trying to do. I literally think it's going to be something like that, 23, maybe 23-16 or 23-13 Steelers.
Well, and Paul, you're right. I mean, they have, when you look at it, they've been winning close games too, the Bears. I mean, 5 of their 7 victories were decided in the final quarter. And they've had a lot of one-score victories. So I agree. I mean, they haven't been they're not a dominant 7-3 for sure. So
no, they haven't beaten anybody. That's the big thing.
Yep. So, all right, Paul. Hey, thanks for joining us, Paul. As always, and we'll talk to you next week. And have a happy Thanksgiving, Paul. If I don't talk to you.
All right, sounds good. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you, Paul.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, we'll see you. All right, everybody. That about does it. Wrapping up the show here. Like I said, I think we're gonna have a good game today. I think it's. I kind of agree that it may be a little bit low scoring. than what everybody's anticipating. I'm going to go 21-17 Steelers. That's what I'm going to go with. So, but on behalf of everybody, all our guests, Jerry DePaula, Coach Todd Haley, Mike Oste, Paul Zeiss. This has been the Steelers Steel City pregame show with your host, Bill Akins, today, filling in for John here at the North Park Lounge, Richland. If you're looking for a place to watch the game, by the way, come down here. They've got all kinds of TVs, great atmosphere, great drink specials, and very good food down here. So, yeah, if you're looking for somewhere to watch the game, and, I know it's a half hour from kickoff, but consider coming down here to North Park Lounge, Richland. All right, everybody, that does it for our pregame show. Again, we won't have a postgame show today. John is flying back from the USL Championship that he was covering yesterday for the Trib. So we will not have a postgame show, folks. But we'll be back next week for the Bills. We'll be back starting at 10 a.m. with the pregame show. On behalf of everybody for Steel City Sunday, thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.